Good evening, guys, and welcome to the sort of an inaugural Slay the Spire Roundtable. This is a very weird, unique kind of thing we're trying out. Obviously, I'm getting rid of these because we don't need them. Because it is currently 10:30 at night, and we're half an hour late, and that's entirely my fault. But first of all, thank you for being here, all of you. Both you there and all of these people around me. We're just going to go around, do a quick sort of introductory thing, where we go through everyone, starting at my top that side, starting over there with Joofy. Joofy, good day.
You're lagging a little bit.
Am I lagging? Perfect. Yeah.
Great start.
Brilliant start.
Yeah. My Twitch handle is right under me. I started speedrunning with Slay the Spire, and I'm just focused on building my community and meme.
Just memes. Oh, great. So I'm going to have you guys lagging on my end, which is going to cause everything to lag. This is fantastic.
Perfect. Good,
yeah. But you're a meme generator, is what I understand. That's the general thing. Seeing as it's now impossible for any of us to actually crack the record. Perfect. All right. To my top right, it's that way. Arbiter, welcome.
Hi. I'm Forgotten Arbiter.
Yeah.
I started playing this game a while ago. I did all sorts of stuff, and then I got bored with all that stuff and started speedrunning. So now I'm speedrunning.
Yeah, and I think this is probably the first time a lot of people are actually seeing you and whatnot, and possibly hearing you. So, but he's quite a vocal member of the community on Discord, and is doing a lot of sort of techie background stuff that myself and Jim and Joofy are probably completely incompetent at, because that's what we're more of the kind of the do the actual runs rather than any of the actual background stuff. Anyway, to my bottom left, we have Jimquisitive. You alright, Jim?
Yo, I'm Jimquisitive. Some of you probably don't know me, and the rest of you probably don't know me either. I was one of the first runners of this game, like back in January, and the same way as Forgotten Arbiter did as well. I got bored of the game. Just started trying to go quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Turns out you can go pretty damn quick.
Well, used to.
Yeah, back in the day, back before fast mode existed. Yeah, but you're currently, you guys are currently like world number 6, 5, and 4, I think. And I'm technically at the moment, according to the speedrun. But and last but not least, to my bottom right, I think that way, Skinsinge, the lead verifier. How are you doing, man?
Doing well. I'm Skinsinge. I don't have much of a speedrunning history, actually, surprisingly. I started out just messing around with Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 because of a friend of mine who's actually in chat right now, the cute Asian guy. He's a Diablo 2 runner, or Diablo 1 runner.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Didn't really get into it, so I picked up Slay the Spire as soon as I basically saw the game. I picked it up. I messed around with some running, realized that it had some speedrun potential, and just immediately submitted it. And so now we have a community.
Yeah, and
that's essentially my speedrun background. I've studied a lot and learned in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, and thanks to you, we actually have a. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what it would have been like.
Oh fuck! I can't believe.
Of course you're going to do that, Joofy. Of course you're.
We wouldn't have had anything.
Yeah, no, exactly. Without you, I don't know if a lot of people would have even known that speedrunning the game was a thing that could have been done. But obviously, Joofy, thank you for you dick. sitting right there, or right there, about halfway all the way across the Atlantic, decides to just sub partway through the intro. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Again, this is a pretty unique concept, or not unique concept, but it's very much we're just trialing this out and seeing how it goes. So thanks for sticking with us when you do. Is my camera inverted? I think it is, yeah.
Oh god, that looks so weird.
Yeah, but essentially, yeah, we're just here to just cut the shit and talk about Slay the Spire and speedrunning in general. And we all know each other from watching each other's streams, and well, in 3 of our cases at least, and we all know Arbiter for basically trying to kick my ass about 3 or 4 weeks ago, just beating my record and never put it out, and Skinsinge for just being a good person in the community and looking after it. But we've got a few things to talk about, pretty open-ended stuff. I think we're going to start, because we've all sort of introduced how we got into speedrunning, or at least a little bit, because we're all basically new to this. we're kind of just going to go dive into some of the more recent changes. Again, looking at the last couple of weeks of patch notes, there's a couple of things that really actually affect speedrunning, but we're just going to look at it in general. The first one being the introduction of 3 events, which for a short period of time actually threw up some controversy in the scene, but that sort of got, thanks to a bit of communication with the devs, got fixed. And the second one being the introduction of seeded runs. The devs kind of dropped that one on us Thursday night, or Thursday afternoon for you Americans. Where we're able to do seeded runs. So first of all, the 3 events, guys. I don't know who to throw it to, but there are 3 events sticking around. There's a ghost event, a sensory stone event, and a portal event. And the portal event's the one that's going to be the more interesting to discuss. But what are your guys' thoughts of the introduction of new events, kind of partway through our sort of speedrunning? I don't know what you want to call it. Our speedrunning escapades. How do you think they generally affect the actual scene? What are your thoughts? Like, I guess I'll throw it to Jim if Jim's willing to sort of look at them and discuss them. You've got the three events that came out. What do you think?
All right, Captain Robot.
Yeah, I appear to be lagging. It's wonderful, perfect.
Yeah.
But,
So I don't have a lot of experience with the events because I don't play on that branch.
brilliant.
But I will do, obviously because of seeded runs. But the Council of Ghosts, I think, pretty self-explanatory when it comes to speedrunning.
Mhm.
Honestly,
Yeah.
any added cards into your deck, pretty much always a bad idea. And it's, to be honest, it's just going to be another thing we take by accident, like bites,
Yep.
and completely mess up the entire run,
Pretty much.
especially anti.
Yeah,
with,
that's the kind of thing that I would do. Yeah, no,
the
I mean,
history of misplays.
fuck you. Yeah, no, I mean it's the kind of event that it thins out the pool of events, but it doesn't really add anything to our game. But in general, like guys, in terms of how like do you like it? Do you like the introduction of events, even if they don't, impact the speedrunning community? Just the introduction of new events is pretty cool.
Yeah,
No,
sure.
I actually really like the event.
Yeah, it's a great
Not
idea.
even maybe if I'm not speedrunning, or if I'm speedrunning some category that might want to take it for some reason.
Yeah.
Um,
No, it's got its place for sure. I think it's one of those things that. Oh, go for it.
I think any change at all in the game is good, no matter what it is, because it shows that they're still at least active with the game, which is nice.
Yeah. They,
Even if it ends up a shitty change at the end of the day, as long as they're changing shit, it's nice.
Yeah, I'm in kind of complete agreement with that. To be honest, the devs have been pretty damn good at just keeping the game changing every week, right? There hasn't really been any downtime. There's been some patches which have been more technical or changes to art rather than any sort of actual impactful gameplay changes, but it's still pretty good to see them, especially a team of 2 practically, take charge in that regard. So that's the first event essentially. We've got the sensory stone as well. That's adding colorless cards to your deck. Jufi, you've been a little bit quiet. What are your thoughts, man, on the sensory stone?
Really, really like that one a lot. I've been like theory crafting on like a colorless percent run because I think there's such a small amount of colorless cards and their impact is rather small. So I feel like as the game is out for longer and longer, we'll start pushing the decks to their limits, and we'll eventually find a way through addition of events like this and eventually new colorless cards or even a new tier of cards, how to make it's interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
Anything that gets me a trip plus is always welcome.
Yeah, it's always
basically
good, always good in my book.
oh, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing as well. I think, unlike the staple cards that we have for the Ironclad and the Silent and whatever the third character turns out to be, there's always going to be room to expand colorless cards pretty freely because they affect all 3 classes, but they can all be unique and different and not do something that the other cards don't do on their own. So I think, yeah, like with the introduction of more cards inevitably in the future, then yeah, I think so. Colorless percent is that like the idea of purely running only picking up colorless cards, is that?
Yeah, I couldn't really understand what you said because you lagged out, but I'm
Yeah.
assuming you said only colorless cards.
Yeah. So that's the concept, right?
And I don't think it's possible. Well, no, it is
Oh,
possible.
most things are
Just
possible.
exceedingly unlikely to finish a game with a deck of only colorless cards in your deck, not just like exhaust wise.
Mhm.
But I think that like if you were to say like, you know, you can only have 5. The problem is that if you say you can only have a few non-colorless cards, then you're just going to have Flex, Limit Break, and Whirlwind, and it's
then
not
you
really
You
going to be much of a
could
challenge.
do strike, defend, bash, starting deck, and then only colorless from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's toying around with the idea of like if the limit is going to be 10 cards and you're removing cards and adding cards, can like the 10 base cards be different? I'm still thinking about it, but
Yeah.
what Skinson just said is definitely through the early game.
Mhm. Yeah. So
But I think it's a cool idea. I mean,
yeah, sorry, I keep getting connection issues for Doofy specifically. Apologies, dude. I don't know what it is. But no, yeah, I kind of completely agree. I think when you've got, you've got the flexibility of doing daily events, right? And that as an extension of that if there was a flexibility to sort of customize your starting conditions more than just rolling random seed, so you could say take your base 10 cards or 11 cards or 12 cards as a silent. Scrap them and say 10 random colorless cards or something to allow for that sort of flexibility, or even 10 specific cards. I think that could be quite an interesting thing to delve into. You know.
yeah, or like it could be like this would be a really cool item, like a Pandora's box that instead of replacing with random cards, it just replaces with random colorless cards.
Yeah, or even just adding maybe that would be bad for speedrunning, but adding just colorless cards to your deck, or get like a bit like say an orrery for colorless cards, because they're usually...
I do think that like different starting conditions, kind of a lot of like RTS games and turn-based strategy games where you start, you know, you'll have your little team and you'll start on a map and you'll start moving the map. Right now our team is bash and strike and defend, but I think in the future we're probably going to get a selection of possible starter kits, and we'll choose a kit and then we'll run with that kit, and on top of the kit we'll also then do Niao's blessing and then move on. I think that would be more likely, because that just, you know, adds another 0 to the possibilities, because you're adding a whole other point there. I think that'd make a lot more sense.
I like the idea too, and I may actually suggest this to Anthony and Casey, but I like the idea too of having a free play, like a deck builder type deal.
I was just about to suggest that. Yeah.
Separate from the base game, but you have like a core deck that you can customize with any cards, and that's how you start the game as, so that we could build our own customs. And it would be like challenge modes or whatever.
No, I could totally get behind that, you know.
But yeah, I think that would be really neat to have some kind of custom deck builder like that. Because it is, at the end of the day, it is a deck builder game, even though it's roguelike as well. It is a deck builder game. So to have that freedom would be really cool.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that in terms of looking at games. Again, comparable games always being card games and roguelikes. If you look at something like Hearthstone, again, it's going to be an obvious comparison because of the card-based nature. They have their two main modes are, you know, a normal mode where you have your deck already and an arena mode where you draft a deck. You're offered 3 cards each time, much like at the end of every fight and with orrery and whatnot. And you're able to just cherry pick which ones you want. You have to take them, unfortunately. But doing the exact same thing, I think, could present a whole different experience to that game. So yeah, that's devs, get on it. I think that's a really, really good idea.
I don't know if you guys have done any of the daily challenges, but there's a new one called Draft, where it gives you 10 card choices, and you start your run with a deck of 10 cards drafted from those card choices.
So then they're already thinking in that direction then.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw someone made a mod like a couple of months ago. There was literally just a draft mode. It gives you 3 options, but he had no way of porting it out.
Yeah.
Instead
of integrating it into the game, Binding of Isaac creators that allow for you to start and edit in items at different times in your run. That's probably what's going to be more likely, because that will happen first before the devs get to it. Them, but
yeah,
I'm surprised something like that hasn't really happened already.
All they have to do is just flip the switch and say enable Steam community, and then
yeah,
it just blows up.
Yeah, right? And then people can contribute.
This is still early access.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
exactly.
they should
Yeah.
definitely release it first before they do that, I would think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I think the ability for the community is already pretty clearly interested in doing that and going down that avenue. Just introducing the ability to sort of make it official to some nature. It's much more sort of flexible and allows for that sort of actual seal of approval, like you said. People don't need to go hunting down for the mods and find the jar file hidden away online or whatever it is, or they can just go to the workshop and boom, there they are. So yeah, I think that's something that could definitely happen down the line. But yeah, I think that's definitely it. I don't think the devs would really focus on it necessarily, do you? Not yet anyway, until they've got the real kinks ironed out of the game. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I think the idea of a colorless mode is or something. The ideas that branch off of that are pretty interesting. There's a whole much bigger well to delve into that we haven't even sort of hit the surface of or scratched the surface of. But yeah, anyway, and the final event, sorry, going sort of pulling back, is the portal event, the secret portal. That, funnily enough, I don't think I definitely haven't seen it. I still don't know if it actually exists and whatnot. But the event that triggers when you reach the beginning of the third floor, or can trigger when you reach the beginning of the third floor, that ports you straight to the boss. So
Yep.
without giving any additional context, what were your guys' thoughts when you first heard this? The idea of being able to just skip to the boss, skip everything else out.
Our community erupted.
It's a very interesting event.
that was probably the biggest rumble.
Yeah.
It was something.
Yeah, so it's quite divisive, but I think I actually went around and asked every single, I think it was like the top dozen players of the
Sorry.
sorry, I think of the top dozen players, I went around and asked, and every single one were sort of against the idea, which makes sense, really. It adds up, right? The idea of suddenly just skipping a third of the content, it's not something that particularly appeals.
No,
but
it completely takes most of the runs behind just a huge RNG barrier. You already have to cross enough of them to get to that point, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I didn't get the portal. Goodbye, run. Everyone's on 4 minutes, 350, whatever, and you're just sitting there with your crappy sub 5 minute time, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I think the devs also agree that you don't want it to be a regular occurrence to skip a third of the game, because instead of making it a normal event, they made it what's called a shrine event, which is much less common.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think of Navath in the city, who gives you a gift for one of your relics, or if you think of the Joust, where you bet gold, or the Knowing Skull, where you give up HP for colorless cards, or gold, those are all shrines. They're all really rare events that you don't see very often.
Yeah.
So now the portal is another one of those shrine kind of rare events that you're not going to see very often, even in the regular game.
Yeah, and to note, for those of you who aren't aware, I imagine most of you are, but the ultimate sort of decision that was made was, after discussing with the community, the devs decided to time cap the event. So there is actually a 0% chance that we, when speedrunning, encounter the event until I think it's about, what was it, 800 seconds? I think.
Yeah, it's 800 seconds.
Yeah, so it's almost 14 minutes before the event can even unlock for you. So if you're reaching that point in the game, the sort of question marks towards the start of the third floor, it simply can't trigger, right? It simply can't happen, and as such, I don't even know what it looks like. Oh, I've seen the picture, but it's one of those kind of things that it's almost cool that I haven't yet had the chance to experience it, because I've just been speedrunning the game, and I think you guys probably have any of you actually come across it whatsoever?
Not yet.
Yeah.
I've been doing some non-speedrun runs because people have been asking questions for my Ironclad guide, and I've had to update things and do some testing. And I still haven't encountered it. It's a pretty rare event.
Okay.
Yeah, so even slow mode, I think it's still impossible to get it. So
if you're at the top end of it all, I think it's 12 minutes at the moment, something like that.
Yeah, mine unuploaded is sub 12.
Yeah, so is mine. I also
Are you
didn't
just going to drop that one day, Jim, or?
Yeah, just
No, I've lost it. I don't know where it is.
oh, it's
Somewhere.
just
It's
down
in a past
the
VOD, yeah.
yeah, the annals of
Oh,
Jim
man.
Inquisitive's VODs.
Do I know where mine is?
I don't
I
want to
don't
go
even know.
But yeah, no, I mean, I've been dabbling with other stuff as well. To be fair, the daily mods have been quite an interesting thing to just quickly test out. But again, yeah, not enough to even have a chance of encountering that. So fair enough. By the way, guys, as well.
And quickly
What's that?
touching on that.
Go for it, Jim. Go for it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
just touching on
lagging.
that topic. It's good to see that the devs are listening to us as a community. It shows that there's a lot of support for speedrunners between them. And it's one thing I've noticed since the start. They've always been up for the ideas of the speedrunning. What's that face for?
I saw that from Goofy, yeah.
But yeah, it's just good to see that they care about what we want in the game and what we think is good and bad.
They're kind of the ideal devs.
You're doing great, Casey Anthony. Casey expressed to me that he's been a huge speedrun fan for a while. So the second he started seeing a speedrun community start to develop around the game, he got super excited about it. So that's why I think that's one of the reasons they've been a little more responsive with us, is that he is a fan of speedrunning and he wants this part of the game to develop. So he's definitely he's active, and Anthony's active with just trying to keep us happy, which is cool. Because not a lot of games do that.
Oh fuck! I can't believe you've done this.
Thank you, Annie. By the way, thank you for the sub, man. Sorry, it just comes through. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the devs are pretty ideal. For like we're very fortunate in that regard. You know, they have sort of a way for us to get in touch with them if needed. They're very engaged with not just our community but the whole community in general for their game. And considering there's only 2 of them, they do put in a lot of decent work, getting a patch out every week. You know, you've seen so many cases, right, of early access games, and after 3 updates, suddenly it becomes a ghost town, and they've sort of ripped everyone off and run out of town. Whereas it seems like they're still engaged and interested in their own game, and that's sort of practically 90% of the battle, right?
Yeah, and it's all fresh content, and it's
exactly.
There's no dead updates, basically.
Yeah, they might be a bit more bug fixy or something than others, but like we said, the last 2 patches have included new events, practically a whole new mode, at least for us speedrunners who play around with seeds in that regard. So it's pretty fantastic to see it come through, and honestly, I think we're all quite excited to see what they've got to come up with. But yeah, I mean, it's again winding back on track. You know, the idea of more events is always a good thing, really. Like you said, new content, even if it's something we disagree with, it's inherently showing that they actually care about their game. They want to engage with us and show us more stuff. So obviously we've got the 3rd character coming. That's a sort of a bit down the line, I think, but it's pretty interesting to see them throughout changes that we don't expect. Speaking of changes that we don't expect, or didn't expect so soon at least, the seeded patch, which came out on Thursday night. I don't know if you guys had heard at all. I was completely taken by surprise that it was coming out this soon. But it's pretty fantastic, right? So again, for those of you watching, the most recent patch that came out 2-3 days ago, as of now, introduced the option to set the seed of your run. For those of you who don't understand this language, essentially every run you play, a random seed is generated, like a random number generated practically, that dictates what you're going to encounter before you encounter it, and that allows you to take that number and replay through seeds, which usually would just be a little fun thing to be able to play around with, but it actually presents us with quite a few opportunities, shall we say. The first one, and the most sort of interesting one that we've actually already seen on speedrun.com, thanks to Skin over there, is the introduction of a seeded percent. What does this really mean for us as a community? I guess I'll throw it to you, Skin, seeing as you're sort of obviously one of the people who has to make that decision of whether or not to introduce that mode and not.
There's always a lot of thought that goes into introducing new modes. Like the take percent was Take percent was kind of a meme thing at first. I know Juffy was really into it, and a couple other people. I know Water Seas was really into it as well. So the take percent kind of started out as a meme thing, but anytime you introduce a new mode, there's a ton of thought, because you have to consider how it's going to impact the splits of the leaderboards. Which runners are going to take to which modes more than others, and how they're going to separate their runs. So you have to consider that, because you want the leaderboards to be kind of cluttered. I mean, you want them to look fat.
Yes.
you want them to have a lot on them. So if you start splitting up runners and getting people that they're interested in other things, it starts to make the leaderboards look a little weird. You also have to consider rules. There's a lot of rule consideration that goes into it. I know we've had some debates and some heated discussions about them in the Discords about how to handle rules for everything. But at the end of the day, I think the seeded percent was a really good addition. It was an obvious addition more than anything, because we can't just have seeded runners and non-seeded runners being lumped together. It's too much of a time difference. As you can see, the very first run was like 4 minutes and 10 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
So it would discourage people like Jim who are trying to break back into the top
Careful,
three.
yes.
Yeah.
Trying to break back into the top three.
Carefully here.
For a long time, he's been trying to break back in the top three. I think it would just make him quit. So,
yeah, no, I think it's one of those things. I agree. It's sort of an inevitability. It's just a surprise that it came. At least for those of us who weren't aware, that it came this soon, right?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, but it's a welcome change.
Definitely a surprise. Like, I always follow the beta testers channel, and on Wednesday night they just threw up this seeded patch. Like, there's now seeds. Yeah. Go test it.
Yeah.
And
they had mentioned it. They had mentioned it a couple 2 or 3 weeks ago. They were like, "We are doing this. Expect it." But I still didn't expect it for at least another month or so.
Right.
It still just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Denim.
Sorry, I'm just reading chat.
Pressure to direct Jim.
Yeah. So yeah, no. I mean, I think that's a hugely important thing to note as well. Is that I don't think any of us look at seeded. Again, I am speaking just on behalf of myself, but I don't think any of us look at seeded percent and think it's ever going to be a bad thing at all. You know, it just creates another sort of way to engage with the game, because I've definitely found myself burning out, getting RNG rolls, just screwing you over 20 times in a row. You know, you're sitting there resetting at the boss, or also resetting at Niao's because you get, lizard tail or something like that, and you're just like, okay, cool, next will be great, next will be better, and you get Snecko Eye 3 times in a row, and you're sitting there thinking, I could be spending this time doing something different. So it creates a different paradigm, though. You've got, on one end, you've got the RNG fiesta of doing normal any percent runs, non-seeded, and then you look at seed percent, and it becomes a balance of finding the best seed and then clicking the best. And I don't want to belittle it. I don't want to bring it down or say that it's... I'm definitely not trying to say that it's a lesser category in any way. It rewards mechanical skill and then getting lucky with a seed that everyone will be able to access.
It's almost 100% an APM war, something like that. A seed percent is almost entirely an APM battle. And a lot of speedrunners like that. There are a lot of speedrunners that are all about APM. That's their thing.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely different.
Agreed.
It is nice to have a steady flow of new categories too. So, the leaderboards do start to get stagnant over time. That's natural. As times start to really get to their lowest of low, the leaderboards are going to level out and not move much. So anytime you have a steady flow of new categories, it keeps people interested. So we are, as moderators and approvers, we are always trying to think. I know you guys have brought some really weird ideas to the table.
What's wrong with Snecko percent, man? Come on,
and realistically, I've considered Snecko percent many times just to throw up there for fun.
Sorry.
At the same time, you also do have to consider how meme of a category they are too.
Yeah, find that line, right?
Snecko percent might be popular for a week, and then nobody will ever submit a run to it again. So
yeah, And I think you're right as well.
know.
No, go for it, Albert. Sorry.
I know I run at least 2 categories that nobody else runs. I run Silent Ascension 15.
Slow mode?
And I run 5 win streak percent. So
yeah, that's an interesting one actually. We'll talk about this in a little bit because I don't want to go too far off track. But yeah, there's definitely the potential for these more like these different categories, and I think although we have our meme categories, there are actually some reasonable suggestions that we've definitely come up with. I think that's one of them. So we'll delve into that in a little bit of time. But obviously, I think the seeded category or seeded being a thing now changes the dynamic of that as well. But again, we'll talk about it in a little while. So yeah, I mean the seeded, it's a good change. It's great to see the devs listening and engaging, like we've said several times in that regard. And I think I'm going to try transition here. So give us a moment. I'm technically inept, but I've got to make this transition over for you guys and make sure that it does actually transition over to the right window. So we're going to transition. You're going to get like a bit of YouTube stuff going on because I'm incompetent, like I said. But just to give you an idea of how quick seeded percent can be, and this is within the first 48 hours of it becoming a thing. We're going to have a look at Phantom's fastest run as of right now. Brilliant. You guys are childish. Wonderful. I'm with a bunch of children. It's fantastic. But no, we're going to look at
darn.
we're gonna look at Phantom's run here. So you can find it on YouTube. You can go check Phantom out. He has a Twitch channel which I believe is I'll make sure we link to it later on, and I'll link to it in the YouTube description when this goes up on YouTube as well. But he's cracked currently a 325, which considering 48 hours ago would have sounded literally ridiculous. Thanks to seeded percent is now already a thing and will continue to improve. So just checking this up. Again, I'm gonna turn it down slightly. So for you guys, obviously it's going to be slightly delayed, but we've all seen this run already. I think those of us in the community. This is the seed that I believe Lulu got her original any percent run with, the 5. I think it was a 515 or a 511, and it just goes to show how many ridiculous seeds we've already come across. It's way too fast to actually commentate on unless you know exactly what's going on. Whereas if you were to look at even the 5 to 5.5 minute times on any percent, there's still a semblance of being able to pick out what people are doing and seeing the decisions they make, even if it is fast. This is absolutely insane. It's a seed first of all with 40 with a Niaos to boss as well as a peace pipe. So like again. You guys having seen this as well, or having seen at the very least Lulu's runs, and this is Phantom's improvement on those so far. Are you guys interested in this yourselves to actually play through?
I can't beat this.
No.
I'm looking for better seeds, and I'm realizing just how insane this seed is.
Yeah.
It's looking. I don't have a very good estimate yet, but it's looking like seeds that us with Niaos are like 1 in 1,000 ish.
Yeah.
Well, you can take all the runs that we've had.
I would feel like it'd be a lot closer to like 1 in 10,000.
No, it's not that bad.
Yeah, because I mean, I have 2.5k runs, Auntie has something k runs, Jim has something k runs, and we each, among the 3 of us, have only ever had that happen once.
Yeah.
In Auntie's run.
Yeah, I mean, if you consider it, I think Arbiter, you've had it once or twice, right?
I've had it once, yeah.
But I think
Lulu didn't get the one shot when she did this run. So
yeah,
I think,
that's the crazy thing.
Sometimes you might miss it.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes if we had maybe taken the, I think in this run, if I go back briefly, whoever originally discovered, I think it was Lulu, figured out that by taking this, where is it? It's so fast, I need to just find the point. There's an event here which is the Forge, where you can take a relic and get a 75% chance of getting a curse.
I was surprised.
Yeah, that's purely because of playing through it and testing. Lulu didn't do that on her original run, and that led to her having an encounter and not getting the one shot on the boss. But the fact of the matter is, the run was so insane that it's this one here. So the Juzu did come in the run, but it fell later, right? It fell at a later time, and you see here that once the Juzu's been got, it completely clears the floor up for a 2 encounter run, which is absolutely insane. But yeah, I mean, so you guys, are you like you said? I think it was a resounding no from Jufi on whether or not he'd be interested in running this kind of stuff. Why is that? Genuinely, I don't mean to sort of, you know, I genuinely want to know.
Oh, it's backwards. Because it's all APM stuff, and I mean it's the similar kind of thing. So we had the initial conversation quite a long time ago about seeded percent versus non-seeded percent, and then I actually, you know, seeped into some Binding of Isaac runner streams and just asked them, you know, like, what does seeded percent look like in Binding of Isaac? What does unseeded, you know, non-seeded normal percent look like? And it's pretty much just a lot of people being like, I mean, I don't know. I feel like it crosses the territory from when non-speedrunners look at a speedrunner and they're like, why don't you just enjoy the game? And then now it's like speedrunners look at seeded percent runners, and it's kind of like, how is that any fun? At least for me. That's me personally. But if you are trying to like maximize your APM, maybe you've played a lot of StarCraft or something, then if you have a background in it, I can see it. I mean, it's got a wow factor. I feel like if you peppered in some seeded percent runs into your stream, it could really hype up the chat. But I mean, it's all fabricated. So
yeah, it's to each their own, right? And I think I can completely get behind that. I think for me, it was always a case of, you know, having, again, I think all of us, I have established now that all of us had never really speedrun anything prior to this. You know, I dabbled with playing Limbo and playing Braid for an achievement and getting that down. I think Braid has an achievement for 40 minutes, which is genuinely quite difficult. But and then that's the end of the run, the 325. It's ridiculous. It's crazy in a really good way. But I think, yeah, for me personally, I'm going to try it. Of course I'm going to try it, but I think that mechanically, I'm not as good as the best people out there, like by no means. And if you look at someone like Phantom or someone like Lulu, who have that mechanical, that sort of aim with their mechanical play, and can not exploit that in a negative way, exploit that in a positive way by just being so good at clicking exactly where they need to go, then yeah, I feel like it's going to be very difficult to compete with that sort of the seeded percent runners who engage with that and enjoy that, because I probably wouldn't be as passionate about it than the sort of the semi-random fun that you get to have when you get to play just normal any percent, right? So
yeah, to me, it's obviously most of us stream, and to me, it's that moment when you get the run with Twitch chat, and you can feel it. Like you've got the first turn upgraded to Whirlwind, you hit the Necro, you get the whatever, the offerings and flexes, and you can see Twitch chat with the freaking Pog champs, and you just don't get that in a seeded run. Like, and that's the part that I like, is the special, like, I don't know, the aspect of where you get that one run in 1,000.
Yeah.
And that.
Yeah.
Again, it's whether or not the 999 runs that don't make it are worth it, and it does feel, when you get there, it does feel, it feels amazing. It's fantastic. It's such the most, like, you beat the odds and you played it well and you cracked that time and you beat your PB. There is something incredibly rewarding about that, and you can. But the thing is, you can derive the same reward, or at least some people can, from playing seeded percent. It's, you know, shaving off that fraction of a second here or there. You know, if you look at a lot of the most run speedrunning games, I think Skin, you were saying that Super Mario Brothers is, you know, still the most speedrun game ever, and that's no surprise. But you look at it, and the top scores, the top times, they're speedrunning to save 1 or 2 frames over a 5-minute game. They speedrun.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. You know, the RNG aspect is common in a lot of runners, like you guys that are used to, and I don't want to say you guys because I don't know where exactly your backgrounds are, but people who have backgrounds with roguelike running, the RNG aspect is definitely a draw for runners like that. And that's what makes, you know, the scenarios like Jim said that are really exciting, because you're finally getting that RNG to lay out for you. And your chat is accustomed to that, so they're getting hyped for that. Contrarily, people who are running other games, and I know we just said it in chat, and I just said it in chat, most other games are actually mechanical. You know, Super Mario Brothers, to use that example again, is literally nothing but a test of your mechanics. The same every single time you run it. And so they are grinding their asses off every day for hours a day to save a hundredth or a thousandth of a second. And when they do, the community goes crazy because that's what they know that their streamer is aiming. So it's just a different level of community. Trying to keep a balance of those because this game has a unique opportunity to cater to both groups of people.
Yeah.
It has an opportunity to cater to the RNG and the dungeon runners, and it has an opportunity to cater to the mechanical runners, which I think is really cool and it's really unique. And so that's kind of where I leave it at that. You know, it's a lot of people are having fun with both categories, and we're just trying to build a community in both now that they're both an option.
Yeah, I can put it better myself.
I've been playing roguelikes for like 10 years, and the thing that really appeals to me is randomly generated and adapting to what you get. So I don't see myself really running seeded categories very much in terms. But the thing that really interests me in seeded is the potential to create what I guess a theoretically optimal human run would look like. So I think it's really cool that now we have the ability to find these insane seeds, and then we can see just how fast the time can get using these seeds. And I'm kind of excited to see what comes out of that in the next few days, or next few weeks, months, however long.
Y'all are gonna need a hand cam.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks, Chiefy. No, I think
heart rate monitors.
Yeah, I think honestly
I am so down.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I never really thought about the way you phrased it, Skin. That it can cater to both types of players, and thinking about it, that's not really something that any games that I can think of can actually do. You know, like you have the ability to use tool-assisted runs, and you can mess around with other things, but they're always going to be trying to grind down to, like you said, to the optimal time, the best possible outcome, you know, imaginable. And unlike other games, there's still RNG effects. So, you know, when someone finds that seed that beats the current best seed, suddenly that blows the game wide open again. So I imagine it's going to be one of these cases of having sort of a very step down kind of approach, where everyone, you know, we currently have this amazing seed that takes 3 minutes 20, but you know, in the future maybe we'll breach 3 minutes. Who knows? You know, it's purely down to the seed that people can find. Dick. I'm not on streamer mode on Discord because I'm a dumbass. So yeah, if you yeah, I'll have to mute Discord in a sec. But if I move Discord, everything shifts away and all the pictures go funny, and I'm an idiot. But yeah, so like in terms of seeded percent, there's so much room for improvement. I'm gonna kill you guys. I swear. But yeah, I think it's overall a very positive thing for us to sort of experience in the future. You guys are completely throwing me off, you dicks. Yeah, you can quote me on that, Jim. Thanks, buddy. So yeah, moving on from the kind of the patches and the more recent changes we've seen in the game. To put it bluntly, what most of you might not know is that my any percent record did actually just get beaten tonight. About it was about 2 hours ago, I believe, something like that.
Yeah, right, Jim.
The any percent, it wasn't Jim. Jim is still worse than everyone else in this stream.
Other than me.
I mean as a human being, but you know, no.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
He's just
Yeah, very true.
See what I have to put up with, chat.
It's unofficially beat. Let's preface that.
Yeah. But put it like this: Dark J, I believe it is, got a 4:56 in game time, or 4:57 in game time, with a 5:01 real time. So he's sort of breached the 5-minute mark. We haven't actually watched it yet, but I'm gonna put it on stream again. It's probably gonna lag everywhere because my internet is just fantastic. So we're gonna literally go and watch that and just have a look at it. So if you bear with me again, technical shit is difficult for my brain. Yeah. So looking at Dark J's run, he got a 4:57. Again, if someone could shout him out in chat as well, because he does stream on Twitch. Thank you. He's a pretty chill guy, and he's just managed to completely crush the record that has stood for about over 2 weeks at this point, by a full 10 seconds. So we'll run the video and just watch it live. I'm not really going to pause it, I don't think. I'm just going to run it, and let me know if you guys can see it. Well, guys who I'm streaming with, let me know if everyone can see it as they should be able to, because it should be pretty interesting to watch. Like, it's probably going to be
this
crazy.
is new for all of us.
Yeah.
None of us have seen this. Even Skim.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the run
It's
yet.
his job.
Yeah, this hasn't even been verified yet, so this
I'm
is
so excited. I don't know. I don't think it was on the docket, Anti, but I want to talk about the role of anti-flame, hello. The role of Thunderclap in Clash.
Yeah, I mean, there's something we can delve into, the actual role of cards as well, specifically. I mean, you can already see a couple of small mistakes coming through here, but they're offset by the fact that, you know, Dark J is a pretty mechanically sound player.
He removed his defend plus. That's run over.
I always remember the
instant
Shot,
restart.
Jim. It's faster than yours.
Yeah, and also, Juffy, you'll spot just there something that you sort of tried to champion and to some extent were correct about, the use of Battle Trance. Yeah.
Somewhat correct my ass, dude.
I can't be too kind, right? No, like that was entirely, well, almost entirely your suggestion on that regard.
Still not
Interesting on the pen nib.
Oh,
What'd you say, Jim?
Interesting that you took the pen nib. It's a big investment.
Okay, that was a terrible split, followed up by a.
Remember, you're ahead of us.
I know.
Oh, yeah, you're
I
ahead
know,
of us.
I know. So guys on watching, just be aware that I'm seeing it live. They're watching on stream, so it's a little bit delayed because I'm. Again,
We should have just all started video at the same time. We're stupid.
No, it's not your fault. It's on me.
That's what I thought.
So he
too.
doesn't go
It's
for
always
the
Anti's fault.
Pandora's box glitch.
Yeah. So we got a Gearier as well, which is pretty crazy, and actually passed up a second whirlwind, which you guys will see.
God, spoilers, Jesus.
Well, I'm commentating to the people watching who are seeing my voices when the thing is happening, right? I apologize, there, guys.
This run had
So
offering.
our commentary is like 30 seconds behind.
Is it that delayed? Oh dear. The one
I don't even know.
Yeah.
Did this run have offering? Or...
We will see.
We see, yeah.
I'm genuinely not sure, but there's another one of the top tier relics coming in as well. With
Freaking spoilers, man.
hey, I'm not saying which one it is. I'm just letting you know.
Did he rest
Yeah.
instead of strength?
He did, interestingly. It seems to have paid off, maybe.
It is a long
How does
animation.
this run get 5?
Yeah, I think I think you're right about the animation time. Well, he's already at nearly at the boss. And
That was
there's-
his second floor to encounter right there. With the birds.
His second what?
floor to
Act 2 encounter.
Oh, yeah,
Sorry.
Didn't even check the card then.
Yeah, Act 2 is ridiculously difficult.
Yeah, but that's what I think Doug J does really well as well, is the fact that I'm
Yeah,
terrible at
I've
it.
done that too.
Is not having the patience to skip a card, like
Yeah.
having a card offered and just going no, I'm not even gonna look because I know that I can save time by not even bothering. I'm a particularly bad offender at it, and I know that most of us are too. In just not looking at cards when you have a good enough deck. So
I always do that in Act 3.
yeah, but that's it. Like, is there an argument that you could do it
He's
prior to
freaking
that?
the fuck out.
You know,
I think
yeah.
there is the...
Well, you think there is like an
Maybe.
argument that you could do it?
Depends on what you have.
No, I completely agree. To be honest, it's you have to have an amazing setup, but he had a pretty good setup by that point, and you can tell.
Okay.
You can tell. Oh no, you can tell that he was obviously not expecting the run to be this insane, and so there's a certain sense of, Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen all this. Holy crap!
Oh my goodness.
No, just wait for it. On floor 41, you guys will.
Oh,
You guys
good thing he has
absolute
10.
He's fighting the head. Yeah.
True.
Yeah, we're on 41.
Jesus, a one-turn head kill.
And then the
Oh, he didn't even need the pendant.
yeah.
I do still think that in an ideal, perfect run, there's not going to be offering.
I
That's
think it's too slow.
See, I think the energy gain is too good to pass up. Honestly, I think the fact that you.
I think
get
it's
two
going to
energy-
be bloodletting.
Hang
And
on, I think
honestly, I think it's going to be bloodletting
map,
plus Centennial Pyramid
You're a,
instead of
puzzle.
off.
you're such a meme. You're such
Fucking
a,
galaxy brain.
yeah.
No, I don't think it's going to be offering, dude. Battle Trance with Limit Break and a small deck is too good.
This is actually kind of interesting. There's been a couple of misplays throughout the run that could have shaved off quite a bit of time, but I don't blame him. That was kind of crazy.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah, he didn't.
Play the
Oh.
so close. I feel so
vulnerable
bad. He
would've-
almost got the sub 5.
Yeah, if he'd
He's
played the
pissed.
vulnerable, it could have done it. But either
But,
way, like that's a fantastic run, right?
I
If
got
he-
excited watching that.
I know. I feel myself getting tense in my hands. just
Yeah,
like-
like I feel
Finally,
like
someone's else on top.
yeah, I know, right? Now I've got the inspiration to actually crack sub 5. Give me a moment.
But if you
guys,
see,
whilst I set myself to streamer mode. I can't remember streamer mode. You
Because
guys.
he took the choker on the third floor,
Mm-hmm.
or second floor boss fight. I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
If he took the calling bell, he would have got a Juzu, right?
You could be right, actually. That'd be
Because
an
he got
interesting-
choker, strawberry, Juzu.
Yeah, I mean,
It's all
I
seeded
want
like
to
that,
go
right?
back and check.
yeah,
Oh, does it work like that?
yeah.
Does he show
I'm pretty
his?
sure, yeah.
Does he show his run history screen?
His run history. I don't think
You can just skip
no.
to the end of the video, right?
Yeah,
And,
it doesn't show his run history screen, unfortunately, but you get the seed. And in fact,
but you can look at his relic order.
looking at the end of the video, yeah, you're right. He only got strawberry and Juzu at the end of floor.
Yeah.
Sorry, on floor on
Oh,
tier
Dark
3.
J's in here.
Yeah,
Yeah, he said he's been botching the calling bell.
Oh, I
he's
see.
taking-
Yeah.
yeah. I don't blame you, Dark J. So, but congratulations, dude.
Yeah.
Honestly, congratulations is seriously in
congrats.
order. You know,
It's-
Yeah, well done, man.
Great run.
yeah, it's phenomenal.
You see, now I kind of want to do a seeded run with that.
Yeah, it just-
I
I
think
kind
there's
of
a few
have, like,
things. There's a
I
lot
think
of
it's going to
things
be
you can
really
look at.
interesting to like botch up a run like we do hundreds of times and then like go back and run that seed.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like that's going to be really fun because then it's going to be like, oh, like how much did I actually just throw away?
Well, see,
Yeah.
I did do that. So you know, I did the video. I did a video of like how to choke 101, which apparently baited people. Sorry if you were those people who got baited by. I was not going for clickbait. I choked while speedrunning by not playing a whirlwind. And I went back and checked the run. It was on world record pace at the time, and thankfully, I may go over on stream at some other point. But I long story short, I went over and checked it, and the third floor was pretty bad. And so like knowing that, it kind of gives me that sort of revitalization that I screwed up, but I probably would have been more, or maybe not more disappointed, as disappointed by getting to the third floor and then getting screwed by the inevitable RNG of the floor up tier 3 sucking. So, but yeah, I mean, it is a cool tool as well. Like seed percent as well. Having talked about it briefly or for a bit of time, there is more potential for it, right? There's a potential to go back and look at runs like that. It's like going through replay mode, but being able to see behind every door. You know, you have all the hidden doors. You choose to take path like go to the left, but maybe the path to the right would have been amazing. You wouldn't have known, but now seeded percent allows us to do that without having to sort of go into the game files and break everything.
Yeah, like in my 521 run, I literally 4 floors from the end had 2 paths. One of them was 2 monsters and a question mark. The other one was 3 question marks. I took that, I misclicked and hit the monster path. And I want to know. It's it's been bugging me ever since.
Just remember that when you do go back and play it, you have to play everything prior to that identically to see exactly what you would have gotten. But if you want to, you can also just try and mess around and get the best time as well. So it's pretty interesting in that regard. The other,
Well, unfortunately, the patch has changed things potentially.
Yeah,
There's a new event in the game.
oh, there
since,
is. Oh, since
Yeah, I know I can't go back and...
So it's hard to compare.
stay hydrated, bot. Thank you for the reminder.
Come out,
Yeah, all those old runs got a little bit screwed up. So
Yeah, I've actually seen that with a couple of seeds I tried. But they still function, right? They just generate those events in addition, and that throws everything off kilter. Is that right?
Yeah. So the events that you'll get will be different,
Mm-hmm.
and some things can change.
Yeah, and
I don't know if the relic pools have changed at all for Ironclad. They've changed for Silent, which makes all the Silent runs different.
yeah, they moved the specimen right to rare instead of boss, which is, again, we can delve into that at some other time, but we don't talk about the Silent here. We talk about the real the real character in the game, right? So
Yeah. I just want to say quick, if anyone in chat has any questions, feel free to ask them. We'll get to them at the end. We'll have a segment on questions.
Yeah, we did actually. I meant to say that earlier. But thank you, Jim, for the reminder. So yeah, any questions?
Bad MC, bad MC.
I'm just making them a note of all questions in chat. So
yeah, so yeah, just if you guys want to chuck the questions in, we'll be covering them at the end. Yeah, I don't know when the end will be, because we're just sort of, this is pretty freeform. I think we're going to do this for 12 hours, so buckle up.
Mm-hmm.
It's been an hour so far. Thanks for the water bot to letting us know. But again, looking at seed percent, something I wanted to bring up and I kind of blanked on previously was, as we've all talked about sort of internally but not out loud too much, is the idea of races. That was actually a question that was sort of thrown at me before. The idea of using seeds to give fair races. The idea that by running the same seed, the things that matter are your APM, and if you choose to make different choices.
That's so fucking cool. During I didn't even think about that. Yeah. We can race the same seed now blind. That's so.
And we can generate whatever. You could literally go type in.
Oh my god!
Type in
so
Leet.
Cool.
Let's race Leet. And whatever.
That's so fucking cool. So, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah. So there's so much potential for that.
You can't type in words in the seeds right now, can you?
I mean, 1337.
Oh yeah.
You know the.
Welcome to the internet, Skinsage.
1337 doesn't have a one shot on Niao, but 1338 does.
Wait, really? Did you try that randomly, or was that seed like?
No, I've been searching.
Okay, right. Okay, that's
not random.
That's hilarious. Like that's Leap +1, Leeb. But no, it's got that potential, which for us as streamers as well as speedrunners, it's sort of the combination of being able to play each other is pretty fantastic, and I think that's something that we'll definitely be trying out once we get the format right. I don't know if we've discussed potentially doing it tonight, but we need to get the format right for what it's going to look like. So I don't know if that's something you want to do or anything later.
Yeah, I've got an idea for that.
Yeah.
So if anyone wants to stick around afterwards, you might see some races between us.
Yeah, over on Jim's channel it'll probably be.
And we can. Well, no, we can do.
We can do it here. Okay.
Do whatever.
Cool. Well, we'll figure it out either way. But yeah, moving sort of on from seed percent. If that's all right. Sorry, you going to say something? I don't want to cut you off, Jim.
I was going to mention about having tournament style races and whatnot, but that could be a thing for the future. Similar to the
setting up a bracket for tournaments, so.
Like Balls of Steel for Binding of Isaac. I showed to Anti-Flame earlier because he had no idea what it was. So
vague idea, but not really.
There's also Condor for Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Yeah,
I'm not familiar with
that game.
I know the game, but I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, but
yeah, it's
something
that we can do.
Exactly, and I think that's thanks to seed percent. Even if you're not interested in the idea of running seeded normally, going for a seeded world record, the concept of being able to the utility that it provides is pretty cool. So we'll definitely you'll definitely see us messing around with seeds in some way, some form or other in the future, and that'll be. I mean, it just it gives us that it's like another dimension to the way we can play. But moving on, sort of looking at percents, and we've covered this briefly. What are your guys' thoughts of future categories? I know obviously Skin, you've gone and delved into this a little bit, but for the rest of you, Skin as well, feel free to contribute. But the idea of future categories, things you'd like to see. I think we'll start with Arbiter because you've actually mentioned it earlier. The idea of a 5-win percent. What's your thoughts about that? And do you think seeded could affect that as well, being able to run identical seeds in a race?
Well, I wasn't thinking of a seeded thing for that, but I guess it could be good for races, maybe with a slightly different rule set. But some comment that I keep seeing on speedrun videos, Reddit posts, whatever, is these guys it doesn't take any skill to play the game. They just like look for whirlwind, and they make the same deck every time, and they just play the cards as fast as possible, and it's kind of boring. So, so then I created this category, 5-game win streak percent, where I play with a completely unlocked account. So no random bosses, all relics, everything.
Yeah.
And then I win 5 games in a row as fast as possible. And I'm like, so in 5 games, there's no way you can build that like degenerate whirlwind deck every single time.
your RNG would have to be pretty damn ridiculous to do so. Inevitably, it will happen, but
yeah.
But and you have to take what you get and still go fast. And I'm not that good at it yet. My PB is like an hour 15.
Yeah, but I think unlike like you said, where you usually when speedrunning, your best runs or your good runs that you'll continue are the ones where you get the whirlwind, you get the juicer, you get the energy relic to start, that kind of thing. What are your like this kind of blows that wide open? So the idea of, you said, an hour 15, it's still pretty reasonable.
A better number maybe, but
well,
with 5 you definitely can't get the dream deck every time.
I think it presents a sort of a opportunity cost. You know, when you're running. Normally, when you get the good runs, you have to take the risks to try and get those best times, and you'll take risks with calculated risks. Maybe roll the 25% when you get the dead adventurer to just see if you get the relic or get the coins. But in 5 win percent, where you've got to, if you die, that's it, it's over. You can't take those risks, so you have to slow play it, pick up the the defensive cards, because once you get to the final boss, if it's the awakened one, you die. It's you don't have that survivability. So yeah,
I feel like, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like thematically, in just trying to see where the category would go, I feel like 3 win percent would be strictly better. Just like thinking, like I feel like 5 is going to create a lot of frustration, and I feel like among Slay the Spire speedrunners who feel like 13 minutes for Silent is too long, I don't know if it's going to be a category that's going to be entirely possible, but I think 3 win percent achieves what you had in mind, Arbiter, but it seems more like, I don't know, like it seems great. I also think like a 1 Ironclad, 1 Silent run, all unlocked, would be like super fun as well. Yeah. And it would really show, I mean, like unlocked percent could totally be a thing. I feel like the only reason why it isn't is because of clutter. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Skin.
Yeah, no, it's not much different from a regular run, and it's just, there's no reason to have a whole category for it.
Yeah. At the end of the day, they'd have the same
like
deck.
I said, we're avoiding what I said earlier in thinning out the leaderboards, and that would just thin it out too much.
It's trying to find that line to ride where we have new categories that people can try and play with, but like you said, not dilute it so you have 2 people in each category and that's it, and everyone sort of hasn't got a sort of a core to build around, which I think at the moment is the any percent seeded and non-seeded, and seeded having just come out. It's a great hub to expand from, and I think, yeah, like you said, I think Jim was kind of touching on it. If we had a full unlock percent category, which I think would be an interesting thing, eventually the best time in there would be the best time in, with enough RNG, because all you're doing is adding in more random effects. The best time would practically be the same as an any percent run, because you'd eventually roll the 3 bosses and get the whirlwinds and get the offering, and you wouldn't get any of the bad relics. You'd even get some of the good relics that are included by running on full unlock, and that would lead to, it would marginalize the category so much, because you're already rolling so many dice as it is, that adding a 1 in 27 to get the bosses, let alone all the other cards and relics, is just, it's too much, and any percent really covers that and scratches that itch. Although saying that, I do miss getting Shovel. I love Shovel, and you can't get it in any percent. I could, I guess, set up an Ironclad 2, but I don't know. It hurts my soul a little bit though to not be able to dig for those random relics, because it would be so super fun. But Jufi, I actually really like your suggestion of the Ironclad Silent, Like do one of each, because
I
that
like
really
that too.
Yeah.
it's a test.
I think when the third character comes out, we should definitely have an
Yeah, the
That's-
trilogy percent.
that would be
When
sick,
when the
actually.
third character comes out, I will highly consider doing a trilogy.
Yeah, like a 3
Trilogy
character.
percent. You heard it here first. Patent pending.
I don't know if I'll call it a trilogy percent, but
Yeah, usually it's number of
A
characters.
girl can dream, skin. A girl can dream.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I think there's so much room for, again, because unlike again a platformer, the kind of epitome of a normal or traditional speedrunning game, this has about 1 billion different more dimensions in all the RNG and all the random effects and all the content that's still yet to be in our hands. Right? Again, a third character that blows the door wide open for these kind of 3 character categories or whatever the case may be, and just allows us to play around with so much more. You know, you're guaranteed to see new relics come out at the same time, for example. Sure, they might be tied specifically to that character, but they might be for everyone, and all of a sudden you've got an Ironclad who can, I don't know, do something that we haven't even, it's not even a mechanic in the game yet, and sort of that changes everything once more. So I think, yeah, there's the categories are pretty, like, we've already got a pretty decent core set, and it's just interesting to see where we'll expand from there.
Can I throw a couple into the mix?
Yeah, by all means.
There was that one that I was mentioned like a long time ago. There was Ascension 1 to 15 for like a,
I was actually going to mention that. I was wondering if you were going to bring that up, but yeah,
it's that's something that I would like to do. That genuinely interests me.
I've mulled over an Ascension run. I don't know about 1 to 15. That's a
no, that's more just my own
run.
personal torture.
But yeah, that would be a brutally difficult run.
Like 3 hours.
1 to 10 is more realistic. I was thinking like a 1 to 5 or a 5 to 10, something like that.
Yeah.
I might handle that.
I have definitely considered that, and it's still quite high up on my list, actually.
Yeah, the issue with it is
I really want to do a run that incorporates Ascension, because Ascension is pretty consistent.
Yeah.
And so I do want to do some kind of a run that incorporates.
How about a 10 to 1? So you get quicker towards the end.
That'd be kind of cool, and also means that if you get screwed over in Ascension 10, it doesn't feel as hard, as soul crushing as when you do whilst running normal sort of 1 to 10, normal 1 to 10. But what about the idea of static Ascension percent? So, you know, Ascension 5, Ascension 10, Ascension 15, not doing the whole category. I do like that idea, but just picking certain benchmarks. Usually I'd say step to 5 is pretty easy to cover, and they do present, I think, at those points pretty big like difficulty spikes. You know, with the Ascension 10 giving you the unremovable curse. So Ascension 5, I think, is when you stop healing as much after boss fights, which is...
That would screw me.
Yeah, exactly, because in speedrunning, you try and take the slime on at 1 HP and survive, right? Whereas in that, if you do that, you're on the next floor with 30 health. So, yeah, what are your thoughts of static categories, or is it just the appeal of wanting to sort of make yourself feel terrible by running Ascension 1 to 15 and dying on Ascension 13 and sort of wanting to die inside? Like...
well, I mean, I assume deaths would be allowed.
Oh,
having a deathless run from 1 to 15 would be...
No,
God, from 1 to 15.
That'd be a lot of resets.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, okay. Maybe I'm a bit ambitious.
The other thing is, we're notably bad at being...
Exceptionally bad.
Yeah, we're good at speedrunning, but...
But you said we're bad at the game? Was that?
Yeah, we can speedrun, but you look at Celerity doing like 30 Ascension 15 win streaks with both characters. I can't even do Ascension 7 right now. Like,
it's a completely different game.
We're so used to
started speed running the game after I got a 63 game win streak on normal mode. And then they changed how win streaks were like recorded on the leaderboard. And I was kind of tired of win streaking. So I was just like, whatever, I'm done with win streaking, and started speedrunning instead. Yeah. But yeah, like Celerity and I were kind of competing with our win streaks for a while in normal mode.
Yeah, the
Go for it.
Sorry, I was going to say. Mention.
Wait.
I just assume whenever I see Anti-Flame lag out to another dimension, you guys can't hear me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I can't hear you, so apologies, and they can't hear you. So what did you say?
The other category I wanted to mention was 100% achievements category.
Oh, that's a fun one too. Yeah.
What's you start?
So a
with
lot of games have 100% runs. Some of them go for like 30 hours, but I haven't looked at the full list of achievements, and obviously they release more constantly. But I don't know how doable that would be. Like theory crafting, how many you could get in a one or two, like in a few runs, basically. Doing it in the most efficient way possible, because obviously you have to complete it a few times to get all the bosses.
And to unlock everything, which I don't think that's an achievement, but you need to get to Ascension 10, which means you're probably going to be unlocking things. Windows update, going to ping at me. Perfect. At least it's not going to shut my computer down. Touch wood. Yeah, it might do. Who knows? But yeah, no, I'm totally on board with like a 100% run. You know, start with a fresh game and just grind from there. It could be pretty painful. Because there are some quite niche achievements that are not the easiest to acquire, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I even have all the achievements, mainly because I reset my game all the time. So there are a lot of achievements that my achievement leaderboard thing has been completely reset.
Jim, run time. I'm curious what kind of time that would go as.
I will never stop streaming this game if I start that.
Wait,
well, I mean,
I don't know how long.
Do a reasonable amount of time, but I just kind of want to get an idea of what kind of time that would take.
All right, I'll stream tomorrow.
Not think it would take longer than 4 or 5 hours.
Wait,
yeah, it doesn't seem like a lot, but.
Skip, what did you say? Because you asked Jim something. What was it you said?
I asked him next time he streams to give the 100% run an attempt and just get like an idea of time.
Okay.
Because I'm curious what kind of time that would take.
Yeah, I think with a lot of theory crafting and just putting a lot of time and effort into it and memorizing so much stuff, you could get a really good time on that. You could do it so efficiently.
The thing is, I can imagine that there would be certain things that would make runs quite inconsistent. For example, you know, one of the achievements they added more recently, in that sort of later 7 achievements, I think it was
I agree.
Kill Donu with a. I'm melting, aren't I?
Yeah.
Kill Donu with a feed, right? Right? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
That one's not actually too bad.
No, but the idea that you're going for one specific achievement and then you get a feed and you're thinking, and you see Decker and Donu, do you change your game plan? You know, and obviously these are the things that you would have to iron out because that's really down to RNG and getting your feed. But yeah, I mean,
well, obviously you have things like 999 strength, 999 armor, use so many shivs, have no relics, all these things, like cycle through, play 50 cards in one turn, right?
Something like that.
And it's just trying to get a way of getting all of those to fit together. Because I'd try it and I'd do one run for each achievement, and it would just be awful.
Yeah,
like you don't want to watch that.
Yeah, and there are ones you can bolt together, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You know, like playing loads of cards in one turn and playing, I think it's 10 shivs in one turn. Again, I'm not sure if the one that you said is for sure an achievement, but yeah, bulking those kind of things together, the ones that fit together. The painful bit being if you achieve one but not the other, do you then try and bulk that with another thing, or can you bulk it with another thing?
And then the other thing is you can't get some achievements until you have certain relics either.
Really?
Like especially with the silent poison achievement.
Yep.
Stuff like that. So you need to sort out which ones you can do early, get the unlocks, and then.
Yeah.
What is?
I'm quite interested now.
I don't even remember that achievement.
I think
it's like 99 poison stack or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you basically need to unlock Catalyst for that.
Yeah, which is in their last set of
No, it's their first set of unlocks.
Oh, is it okay, fair enough. Yeah, you'll
stay out of silent.
I know nothing. I know nothing. What am I talking about?
Luckily, the Pandora's Box glitch exists, so Minimalist isn't as RNG as it would be.
Yeah, as long as you can actually achieve it, as long as you can get the glitch to work. Otherwise, you end up with a bigger RNG fiesta than before when you have just random crap thrown into your deck.
Fresher asked, would it be unseeded or seeded for the 100%? And it would have to be unseeded.
Unseeded, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, the seeded would be too easy.
Yeah.
Also, you can't unlock achievements when you're running seeded runs anyway.
Yeah. that's another small change they made as well. Which
Oh
would affect
yeah,
100%
that's right.
the-
That's right.
you
Yeah, I
can-
didn't even think about that.
You can no longer unlock achievements on daily mods as well, which a lot of people kind of got lucky with things like I don't know, minimalist or and whatnot. Or I think there was a thing that said you no longer get relics or whatever. I don't know if there's a mod for that, but that would make the one relic thing particularly easy. You know, so that's a good change for 100% mode. Otherwise, you know, you'd just play it on a specific day where the cards work perfectly, or you know the daily mod is perfect for 100%ing, and then you suddenly shave loads of time off your runs. But yeah, any other suggestions for percent modes, different
Can we
different
delete the
runs?
silent? Is that
What is the silent people keep talking about? By the way, I've heard things. Apparently, it's green.
yeah?
So I'm assuming
I can't really help you there.
It's cool.
it's cool.
I'm eager to make a silent seated run that beats the ironclad seated run.
Oh, God.
That's my goal. Show people that silent can be fast.
Because I mean, again, you just need to figure out what the metrics are for making a perfect silent run, right? Is it?
Do you always
grand
get the
finale?
same blessing when you do a seated run?
Yes.
You get the same offering?
So you can
Yeah.
just Pandora's box glitch over and over and over and over again?
Yeah, you could do on the same.
So
team.
isn't that hypothetically a better seated run than the one we saw earlier?
Potentially, but starting with a
I
single.
think Pandora's box after the first boss is better.
Because Pandorazing after, first of all, it means that you're running floor 1 with 3 energy and no Niaos, which means that you're sort of at a detriment. But on top,
Yeah,
of,
you're right. You're right.
On
You're
top
right,
of
you're
that,
totally right.
for the silent at least, it means you're running it with that gain 8 defense and discard 1 card, and the 0 mana deal 3 damage. Your first encounter will take a minute on its own, because every turn you're going to have to play that to deal 3 damage to whatever you're fighting. And if you get an enemy with 52 health, you're there for 16 turns or whatever it is, just going die, 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 and you know you very quickly get bored. The same thing happens with the Ironclad, except you have bash and only bash. So you play bash, you end turn, bash, you end turn, and it is still slow, but it is faster than the silence.
It's still 5 times faster than
yeah, at least. And then you need to roll a good card to go with the bash on your first fight. Otherwise, you're getting more fights where you're taking forever, and that sort of falls apart. But like you said, a Pandora's box at the end of floor 1 after having got an energy relic or a perfect Niaos, that's where you're looking into real potential, right? I think.
Yeah, I think the dream for silent is you do Niao's Lament from floor 0, then you get a grand finale really early, and you don't need it because you one-shot the boss, and then you get a Pandora's box to remove everything that's not grand finale.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you get another grand finale from the boss or something, and then you just 2 grand finales win every combat.
Yeah, well, that's it. You just how much does grand finale deal now?
50
50
for grand finale plus to everything.
Yeah, and it
For 0.
Yeah, it got buffed as well. Yeah, good point. In the most recent patch, they changed it from 1 cost to 0 cost. So, in the runs where you're not getting this perfect Pandora's box, it's still more playable than it was. Again, I don't know anything about the silent. I'm not really gonna pretend to, but you know.
Oh shit! I didn't read that. That's funny.
Well, I didn't even see what got said, but I see someone's timed out. Good. Anyway, I guess moving on. If we don't have any more sort of run suggestions, things that we'd like to see in the game. Not so much things that are outside of the game, like run percents and whatnot, but things you'd actually like to see improved in the game, included in the game, taken out of the game. In my vote for the silent. But you know, anything that you guys would.
My vote for anti.
I'm not in the game. I should be.
You're out of the
I
game.
should be. There should be a pineapple in there somewhere. But
You asked for things out of the game.
Yeah, I'll just have to.
Does the third character count?
Well, if the third character is a pineapple, I will. I don't want to say what I'll do, but I don't think it's going to be a pineapple, unless I ask Casey really, really nicely. But no, what things you'd like to actually see improved in the game or added to the game? You know, if again, it can be anything, just more relics as a suggestion if that's something you want to see. Like, I don't know, has anyone got anything to start? Because if not, I will go. And because for me, one of my biggest pet peeves is the like healing animations, right? Every time there's a healing animation on screen, this is going to get a bit dull and a bit nerdy or whatever. the game slows down. The game slows down quite considerably. And this isn't a big deal most of the time because it happens at the start of fights, at the end of fights, whatever. But there's the vampire event where you get bites, and every time you play a bite, you die a little inside because it takes about a year to resolve. And if you stack them all up, you're sitting there for more than the bird encounter, waiting, just watching as the bites resolve and your health slowly ticks back up. It's such a minor thing, but it really irks me because if I had if you have the blood vial, right, you get the event just trading in the blood vial rather than your max health. If that was a thing, and you hadn't got rid of any strikes, and it didn't take a year to play every bite, I would probably take that event 10 times out of 10 if I had the blood vial. But I can't. I know inherently that is a waste of time because it will just slow down your run. I'll still take it about 50% of the time because I'm terrible at the game, but that's not because the event's actually worth taking. So, not yet anyway.
It's the kind of thing I'd take in an Ascension run.
Yeah.
Like, if I was doing that speedrun. Yeah. Not for the normal game, though.
Yeah.
Too many cards. Because it doesn't trade your strikes. Maybe if it traded your strikes?
It does. It does trade your strikes.
But it doesn't. It's not.
You always get 5.
It's always 5 bites.
I see what you mean. Yeah, it doesn't. If you've already removed.
1 for 1.
That'd be interesting if it was 1 for 1. It'd be more viable. Still not great when the animation's like this. But
no. But the other thing is freaking gremlins. Can we get them of the game?
Oh my god!
Yeah.
What tier 1?
Just the roulette wheel and the card game. They're just instant 10-second.
Oh, right.
I thought you were talking about the gremlin leader.
Oh yeah,
you're talking about the fight.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about the fight.
Yeah, because
get them out.
I'll say it 100 times. Fuck fat gremlin. Seriously, it's the worst thing. Getting weakened makes me cry. So I have to kill. Even if I know I've got Whirlwind next turn, I have to kill it. It has to die. And then when there's 2 of them, enjoy having a 5-turn encounter because.
And the what is it? The green slime plus that mini more thing. I can't remember the name of the enemy. It's like the 42 health enemy and the green slime. So you get weakened, and then he's getting shielded. They're doing. It's just. Yeah.
And you kill the gremlin leader, and then all those minions take
they
about
run off
15
slowly.
seconds.
Jesus Christ, don't. Yeah.
Run off the stage.
Not to mention the bandit dude.
Yeah.
Or the birds stun effect.
Yeah. Bandit encounter, always kill the one on the left because otherwise he's going to sit there and cry at you for a year. Yeah, animations is always going to be something that we as the speedrunners get particularly irked about for sure. But
I feel like they could iron out a few small things, honestly. But then it would kind of like they could, if they made a fast mode, if they come out. The thing that surprised me is that I thought before, because when they came out with fast mode, like speedrunning was a thing, but like barely. I was a lot more surprised that they came out with it in a we like speedrunning, here's a fast mode. I just thought the game was atrociously slow. Like I remember
go back to slow mode.
My tablet, at the library and being like, wow, this game's so slow. I can't believe there's not a fast mode. So if they came out with a fast mode and they're like, this is for speedrunners, then they could probably, tweak the caca, tweak all those little things that, trigger us if it's really for the speedrunner. But if it's not, which I think it should have been, then it's not a big deal, I guess.
Yeah.
Sorry. What do you think? There's a lot of events where you have to click leave, specifically.
Yeah. Or escape, I believe.
Yeah. What's your idea of just going straight to map with those? Because I know they are specific events where you have to leave the place and you go into a room of potions.
Yeah,
whatever.
There's 3 events where you don't have to click leave. It's the new sensory stone event. And then the 2 that give you potions, the lab and the blue woman.
Yeah, it's really inconsistent, I think, is the biggest problem, right? If all events made you leave, whatever.
Do you think that's a requirement?
Oh, also the book, sorry. I forgot.
Do you think that's a requirement in order for the game to resolve actions that are going on in the background? So it's giving it a second, because if you could map out that quickly, there's a potential that you could break things while it's still resolving the event.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just a safeguard that they threw in there, maybe?
Potentially, because there is a bit of a hang time when you try and click leave, and it doesn't necessarily register the first time. So we all just end up clicking, 10,000 times a second because we know that it will resolve.
That was one of the suggestions. You told us to give suggestions. I sent a whole bunch to the devs 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Similar to the upgrading cards bug, where it, if you have, I can't remember the relic, but if you have a situation where, Peace Pipe, the Peace Pipe bug. So it overlaps itself, and you end up upgrading a card you didn't want, or you end up removing a card you didn't want. If they had a safeguard similar to that, I wonder if it would prevent that, and I wonder if that's why they have the leave button safeguard in there.
Yeah.
To stop bugs like that they might have discovered.
The thing is, I found it to be somewhat inconsistent, though. There are certain events, for example, Cleric. You know, Cleric, who offers you a heal, a card removal, or leave. Sometimes if you go for the card removal, it will immediately, as soon as you click the card, it will map out for you and you can go. And other times you just have to hit leave and have to spend the extra time. And there's no... I don't know what's caused... Yeah, I've had it crop up occasionally. I have no idea what causes it. You can't map out normally most of the time. But sometimes you can map out and it takes a second. Sometimes it will map out for you. And I don't know why. So it's kind of inconsistent. But again... You know, these are sort of all these moot or niche points about animations mostly, or like you said, again, I think you could be onto something in that regard on the, you know, to avoid us breaking the game further. You know, when I first got the Pandora's box glitch, I was flipping out, and yeah, if we were able to replicate other weird things because of that, yeah, I'm all right with them keeping those in, but
I really love the Pandora's box glitch.
It's fantastic.
I do too. I like it so much.
Yeah.
And I still have 0315, so I get that 100% of the time, which I love.
Oh, what do you mean?
Actually, it's really easy now. I finally figured out the timing for Calling Bell and Pandora's box.
I still run March 15th patch.
Oh, right.
But
So, I see what you mean. So it's super easy.
Yeah.
That's fair.
If you want seeds, you need the new
Which
one.
I think, like, I don't know. I think there's a world where I finally try to realize, I don't know. You're so right about the Pandora's box having to be on the first boss instead of the opener. I hadn't thought of that until now.
Yeah.
That's a really big change, and then this opens up the interesting discussion of, have we reached the point where we reset unless we get Niao's Lament?
Yeah, I mean, or do we reset? Like, there's very specific cases. Do we reset unless we get a 2 or 3 encounter floor and an energy relic or a Niao's Lament? Because it's proven by that, like you said, that it saves so much time. What is it?
I think
40 seconds in 42nd floor 1. It's nuts. It's absolutely.
Well,
crazy.
I mean, Dark Jade did just get world record without Niao's Lament, so
Yeah. It's true.
I will definitely keep using boss relic.
Yeah, when Neo's not there for sure. But like you said, does it become a stage where does there become a point where the record is so good that if you're trying to beat it, you have to reset for Niao's and hope for that 2 encounter floor? Do you guys think that's a possibility?
Well, I mean, my
like that's what Doofy's kind of getting at. Like,
I think I would stop burning it by the time that's the point.
Yeah, that's
my run
true.
was I don't know what your guys' times are, but it was on non-Niao's, I think. I can't remember what I had, but it was a 106 first floor.
Without Niao's.
I can't remember. I think it
I
was
was
Niao's.
watching when you did that. Was I watching when you did that? I'm pretty sure I was.
Yeah, probably. You don't have much else to do.
Sure.
You're sure as hell not verifying runs right now.
It's either watch or work 16 hours a day, whichever one.
Yeah.
But no, I can't remember if I did or not, but a 1 HP encounter on that floor over an energy relic is I think it's something that's still in discussion or debate between a lot of people, because over the course of a run,
the energy saves time.
Energy is huge. If you get a 32 damage whirlwind on the first few floors, is huge. So many enemies have around between 24 and 32 health.
Yeah, or with one upgraded flex, you're 48 damage as opposed to 36,
and then a bag of marbles.
You know? Yeah,
it's
just becomes
another 72 damage. It's nuts.
Yeah,
but a 1 HP boss and 1 HP first floor fight or second floor or second act fight is again disgusting.
Yeah.
Like it's
right.
It's 6 of one, half a dozen the other right now anyway.
Yeah, and like you said, although Dark Jade just got the record without it, his boss fight was, he already had the package, right? He had the flex, the whirlwind, I can't remember what else he had, but he had a way to, despite getting a 68 health split, which is terrible, and if I got that, I would consider just resetting on the spot. He then killed it in like that turn or in 2 turns, which is really good. You know, it shows that, like you said, although it does save the time of playing that out, it didn't really matter because he already had the setup and was able to just...
I think that was like a Battle Trance double tap whirlwind flex setup.
That was it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So he got 8 ticks or 6 ticks of I don't know how much it was. 6 ticks of 12 damage each. Yeah, and that's enough to steamroll the oozes that came out. So, you know, obviously he got lucky on his draws and his pickups on the way there, but you know, like you said, is it necessary? I think the time on, I can actually go back and check quickly. The time on Phantom's take percent, right? Seeded percent, not take percent. My brain's all over the place. His time on that first floor was 40 seconds, right? And you said you got a 107, and I don't know what Jay's was a 127, I think. So imagine saving 40 seconds on that in real time. Again, getting a 40-second first floor is unrealistic when you don't know exactly where all the cards are coming. But you know, I've got a 55, and I could have saved time. Dorindar got a 54; he could have saved time. Arbiter, I don't know what your time was, but I know that you've got a 1 HP run, and that was like
it was like
a minute or something like
a minute 15. I got the Gremlin wheel, which was annoying.
Oh, okay. So yeah, RNG whilst being great was still there to screw you over. So
I did have Meows, by the way.
You did have Meows, okay.
Just checking, but it ran out within like half the first flat. Yeah. So.
But that's the thing. It is so crucial to so many runs, and yet, at least especially in seeded percent, where you can find those seeds with those perfect runs. Like, is that the future of seeded for sure? But then is that the future for normal unseeded any percent? Is that, you know, it's kind of hard to say, I guess, right?
Yeah.
We can't predict the future, and future patches could change a lot of things, you know. But no, it's still cool to see it happen. And now that there's a perfect seed with the Niao's boss, it's gone from being like this mind blowing crazy thing to someone's going to run speedrun that 20 times in you know, an hour, and they get it every time. So it's
we're still measuring things in speedruns per hour.
If you want to look at it like that, I'm really good. I reset all the time. I'm getting pretty good at it. But yeah, no, it's pretty cool. Is there anything else you guys want to like see in the game? Despite, excuse me.
Go
for it.
So here were my suggestions to the devs. So one of them was display milliseconds in the in-game timer. Especially for these seeded runs, we're gonna have like 10 people like the exact same time, and if we're doing it by second, so. We're going to have milliseconds of the in-game time is going to tell them apart. And then also, so for every single event, I think we've already talked about this a little bit, there's these buttons that take like a second before you can click them.
I was going to mention that earlier.
Spam click them for like 20 times waiting for them to become active. It'd be nice if they could become active a little bit faster.
Yeah.
So then I would accidentally take bites 100% more often.
Yeah, that's true. I've done that way too many times to even admit. But luckily, it saves you. You can sort of just click and drag, and then just click on the right option, which is to not take the bites. Never take the bites.
And then it would be nice if you could rebind hotkeys in game instead of having to use an external program.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure that's on their radar to do eventually.
Yeah, I mean, if you look on the settings menu, as a note, on that exact point, there's the game settings, or whatever it is, which is the normal settings you have now, and then there's a specific you know, window, whatever you want to call it, button that says it's called something like input or bindings. It's something that alludes to the fact that it's directly related to in-game bindings.
I think it says key mapping.
And then
that's it, key mapping. Yeah, which is very, very clear. But carry on.
Finally, because I'm a silent runner, unlike some people, I want them to make it so that if you have well-laid plans and you have disabled confirmation when choosing one card, and you're well-laid, like you're retaining one card, then you can just click that one card and it'll be retained instead of having to click confirm every time.
Yeah, rather than just relating to is it discards that it specifically relates to?
What does that card do?
Go for it.
Well-laid plans. Basically, at the end of every turn, you can choose a card to keep in your hand.
Yeah. And it upgraded as 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if it took that for you, then that would be or was like
even
in
two
the same way.
like 2 cards and not have to click confirm. That would be nice too.
Yeah, just like quality of life changes, right? Okay, getting off quality of life changes. Are there any like wild things that you guys would like to see introduced in the game? Like, I don't know, anything specific, anything, you know, events, relics, cards, mechanics, things like that. You know, we have things like vulnerable, weakened, frail. Is there anything that you'd like to see different, you know, or change?
I want to see a health sacrificing style of play. So either a card set that requires health sacrificing, or if the new character has that as the energy mechanic, I want to see a health sacrificing energy mechanic, where your energy is replaced and now your health is your energy, and you have to consider the trade-offs of playing the cards that you play while maintaining your health balance.
So like a Warlocky style sort of thing, you know, some again Hearthstone reference, but also actually like it would be kind of a, I could see that being a thing. So
yeah, it's like the blood bank from Isaac.
Yep,
Like,
exactly. The blood
that's
bank.
one of the. I mean, it's so interesting how like, and I think we probably need to save the second floor conversation for a different stream, because I feel like we could have a whole round table about how like there are X amount of variables in Slay the Spire, and floor 2 has the hardest of each of those variables proportional to its position in the game. Like the events, for example, floor 1 has like a lot of really good events that get the ball rolling really quickly, and then you just lag in the second floor. But yeah, some of the most rewarding events in the first floor are the ones where you get to lose something for something, lose HP for gold, lose, you know, HP for card removal, that kind of stuff. That's the risky, that adds risk, and speedrunning is all about risk. So I could definitely get behind that. That'd be really great. I think that like there needs to be a ridiculous like energy relics have a lot of space for improvement as far as like what I would add to the game. Like there should be an energy relic, for example, that is, you know, you gain an energy, your deck can't be bigger than 10 cards. Like if you want to add another card to your deck, you have to remove a card first. Yeah. Like that's a really easy one. Yeah. Like
seems like
an energy relic that gives you an immediate, like you lose 50% of your HP when you pick this up, and then you have an extra energy and you can move forward from there. You can gain your HP back. If you had 40 HP, you only lose 20 HP. If you had 100, you lose 50. Like there's a lot of space for improvement still, and I think that's what's so exciting about it. But it's also weird to have so many, because the game has just scratched the surface. We all end up having so many good ideas that it's weird that they're not implemented. But it is an early access game, and I don't think anyone could have anticipated us pushing it this far this quickly.
Yeah, and it's all thanks to the big community. You know, the support from speedrunning.com getting it set up, like Skin actually getting that all sorted for us early on, and then being a link in that direction. We have a link, sort of a loose link to the devs on Discord, being able to, they see what we post, they read what we do, and being able to sort of use that to, like you said, we've only scratched the surface, but we've still done so much. This is an iceberg, basically, that we're on the surface. There's so much more to come, and there's so much more that could come. There is the potential. This game has the absolute potential for things like expansions down the line. Adding in a 4th or 5th character, or adding in a 4th floor. I know that one of the things they have on their roadmap is the true ending. I don't know what it means. I don't know whether that means there'll be a final boss beyond the bosses, or like you fight Niao or something like that. Niao's like, haha, fuck you, I've been using you for my own gains, I'm gonna smash your head in now. Like there's so much more potential that we haven't even visited yet, and that's,
I like.
Yeah, go for it.
I like the idea of I don't know how familiar you guys are with Spelunky, but it's like if you do these specific things throughout the run, like if you sacrifice, or if you get certain items, so like you have to get the key which unlocks something, and then you get this item that if you kill yourself at a certain level, it teleports you to another place, and you can sacrifice certain things to get to certain other branching paths, and you can go kill the main boss. But then if you have a certain item, you can then go and to the final boss. and do all these little things. It's the same in Isaac. There are so many different branching paths. So you can go to one certain end, but if you do something slightly differently, or some Easter egg, you can go sideways, I guess, as opposed to going up, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's like a forking path around. That's something that I imagine they could implement quite easily.
Yeah.
Although in an RNG game, I don't know how
it's
likely that is.
Yeah.
But it's.
I mean, you see it in other RNG games, though, right? There's two that come to mind. The first one that came to mind as soon as you suggested that was Enter the Gungeon. I don't know if you guys have played that at all. It's a epitome of a roguelike, very similar to Binding of Isaac. And there are two secret floors. Well, two secret floors off to the, like you said, going sideways. The first of which is pretty easy to get to. And once you defeat it, you get or on that floor, you can get a little piece of armor. And if you take any damage once you pick it up, it's lost, and you can't do the next thing. But if you carry that onto the second floor and avoid taking damage and find a shrine, and you put it on a shrine, you unlock the other, like, actually pretty difficult bonus floor. And it's pretty binary, but it adds in that whole sideways to go upwards, and you can get you get to play. It's kind of unique in that regard. The other one being Faster Than Light, right? Faster Than Light. There was the
game was so hard.
Oh man, I love that game
so
much.
good though.
Yeah,
such a hard game.
Phenomenal
It's a good game.
But there was when they first added Advanced Edition, they added in an extra race. You know, there was the humans, there were the I can't remember what it's called, like the Voltrons, the Engi, the whatever, the mantises.
Yeah.
And
there was the Crystal or the Lanius they added.
The Lanius. They added the Lanius in, right? So they added an extra, attainable race and ship, because you get to pick your ship at the beginning. And they added this additional ship in. But in order to get there, in order to get the unlock it, you had to go through like 2 RNG specific things that had to happen, and you got teleported to this bonus world hidden off the map. And it's super super cool in that regard, and it allows for he's laughing at the Kappas just going across. Yeah.
No,
I am.
Laughing at skin.
Yeah, but no. But the thing is, right, there's so many interesting ways that could be implemented in, say, the Spire, and it's I think once they get the core down, that's the way.
It already kind of is, though. I mean, you have the events similar to like the bites and the blood vial that you had to discover that at first. Like there was nothing in the game that told you if you have a blood vial and you get this event, then you're gonna be able to get it for free.
Yeah.
But there could be
it already has a lot of situations in it. There's several events that are triggered by what you have or what you've done.
Well, I mean, like if you get a certain amount of Niao's relics or something, and you hit an event, you get teleported to Niao's realm. You have to fight through the body of the whale and stuff like that. Like, devs, listen.
They used to have, for that new Ghost Council event, used to be you could get it without the HP loss if you had spirit poop.
Oh really?
Yeah. They've taken spirit poop out, haven't they?
But you can't do that anymore. It was like that on beta, but when they released it, you can't get it for free with spirit poop anymore.
Wait, have they taken poop out entirely?
Have they taken spirit poop out? I thought they'd taken it out. Or it's not.
I haven't heard about it, but I haven't played the patch yet. So.
Oh, I thought it was still in the game.
I
thought it was still in the game too.
But
better be.
Yeah, I know. Spirit poop's fantastic. It's just
that'd be a really good Twitch emote.
But the interesting thing is that like you said, that's a hidden interaction skin. The idea of the blood vial being traded. In other cases, they have the addict, right, who you can give jacks to, but if you don't have it, it still tells you that. Like I think it would be more interesting if there are some more of those hidden interactions. Those ones where it doesn't tell you, like you said, like with the blood vial, but you find it out by playing enough, and all of a sudden it becomes a noticeable thing that you can, when you learn it, it feels special. It feels cool.
Maybe.
Well, with the jacks,
like how upfront this game is about its mechanics. It tells you exactly what you need to do to get what you need, and I kind of like how it doesn't have very much hidden information.
Yeah, I mean more from like a Easter egg style rather than hide this from you. Because if you have it, you know that it's a thing that you can do. It comes up with an icon that says click this and you get your special thing. But until that happens, you just don't know. I like the idea of that without including like you said, hiding the mechanics from people. Sorry, Skin.
They are putting special seeds in later on.
Really?
Yeah, that was confirmed.
In what way? Special seeds?
So, like, Binding of Isaac, you could, what was it? Game Boy? Type in the seed or something? Obviously, it's 8 letters, I can't remember
So
what it is.
so like Minecraft with their special seeds, where it gets like all the villagers have weird shit. And...
Oh.
Yeah, so like you type in like a certain seed and it will mess up some kind of aspect of the game.
Yeah, like modded seeds, kind of like the daily. That'd be kind of cool. Where you like put in a seed and it comes up with like you get some random debuffs that you only see in daily challenges. It's more sustainable because with the daily challenges, like if you miss them, you miss them.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering too. Is if they would allow, or they would permit us to have the seeds that the daily challenges run off of, and that way we could replicate the daily challenges for running.
Yeah, that'd be so fun.
Yeah, and also the ability to I again sort of tapping into what you're saying about the seeds there, customize the daily runs. You can I know someone's already done a mod for it. Within about a week, someone done a mod for it, but being able to pick exactly oh my god, being able to pick exactly what pluses or minuses you want on your run, and so it's like a daily run, but you can customize it. It kind of draws away from daily mod being a thing though. Because if you can customize it, why play the daily mod other than to try and have the leaderboard, you know, have your position on the leaderboard, right? So, like, do you think that having a fully customizable mode is a good thing? You know, we already tapped on it with the starter pack, the colorless mode or whatever, but do you reckon having a fully customizable...
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what that's what we were talking about, is the deck builder, having like a deck builder. That a customizable mode would be nice. It would have to be obviously something that would be like achievement disabled or some shit like that.
Yeah.
But I think that would be fun to be able to build custom decks and then say, okay, we're going to build a category around a deck that has nothing but searing blows, and you have to run through.
Did someone say?
Or you know, what's that?
Don't worry. I'm a huge guy.
It would be fun to have. You know, custom builds like that we could turn into categories.
I'd like
an anger deck build. You start with nothing but angers.
I'd like a sliders setting. Like I don't know if you guys have played much of FIFA, but you can play offline and you can just say shot power 100%.
Oh yeah,
100%. I want to be like
scalable variables on the cards.
Yeah, I want like elites 200%. Like just slide all these little variables up and. Do you guys know if modding is coming soon, or?
Oh, there's already kind of unofficial modding.
But like mainstream modding.
Community?
I don't think it's in the near future. There's some. From
it would have to be
hanging out in the
modding
channel. It doesn't sound like it's coming too soon because there's already a workable system for modding. And I think they do eventually want like Steam Workshop support, but then the modding community also wants to be able to like mess with everything. And if suddenly there's an API, maybe it makes it harder for them. Yeah. So there's also a balance there.
I think Steam Workshop's pretty open with everything they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want to click a button that adds it into it. I don't want to
have to download a random file from online that some bloke said, hey, download this, you're going to have loads of fun. Next thing I know, my GPU's melted because they've decided to mine Bitcoin for 3 days.
Next thing I know, I'm using Bing. Like...
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, all right. Fuck that's the worst thing that can happen. But yeah, I mean, I think there's you know, the workshop would be the ideal thing, right? That would be that's when you know that like it's so easy, it's accessible, no fucking around, just simple, unadulterated, approved mods being, and that's the thing, being able to vote on it as well, rather than having to trust someone's word on it online randomly. At least you have the Steam sort of, they can 5-star it, they can 1-star it, they can give critique, right? In a single unified place, rather than on, you know, a Reddit post that was chucked up 3 weeks ago and someone said, lol, so bad because they're, you know, a Reddit user.
Well, right now isn't the only way to find them just search on the Discord.
Pretty much.
Like,
there's a Reddit for mods somewhere, but yeah, the pinned post in the Discord's probably the best place.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But I mean, we've stuck on this category for a while, but it's kind of interesting to delve into and see what our thoughts are as a collective and whatnot. But moving on, I guess is we've been going for almost 2 hours now. That's, would you believe it? I guess
Yes.
it sort of open this up to some questions from you guys. I know we have a few already. They've come through. Jim, have you actually been keeping track of any?
I've got
There's a few. Yeah, there's a few.
You want to do Twitch or YouTube first?
I've got YouTube's here. So I mean, the first couple we'll go through are as follows. There's a question. I can't remember who this was from. Apologies. You might actually be able to have who it's from, but it says in a perfect RNG run, and this is probably, like I said, going to be levied towards Arbiter. I did preempt this one. How close can Silent get to the Ironclad's times? I assume they're referring to non-seeded because this was put out before that existed, but feel free to
I'm going to take a toilet break during this.
Go for it.
Well, if you're talking about perfect RNG, then non-seeded is the same as seeded, right?
Yeah, okay, true. Yeah, I suppose it is. But not just perfect RNG, because that, like, seeded still lets you click faster, because you know where things are.
Plan ahead.
So
Yeah, it's
I suppose so.
Yeah.
But I think like an optimal grand finale deck in Silent is very fast. The only thing I've been trying to figure out with that is, so you're not going to kill the final boss in one turn unless you've got like card draw or, I don't know, 5 copies of grand finale. Which I'm not sure if you can find a seed that actually gets 5 copies of grand finale.
Yeah, I mean, because seeds aren't infinite, right? Although there are literal quintillions of them or whatever it is, there is a finite space within which seeds can be created, right?
Yeah, I mean, sure, but even if the seed exists, you can't search through.
Yeah, that's
10 to the, what is it, 19 seeds?
Something like that.
There's something like that.
Yeah, it's 19.
Okay, so yeah.
Well, actually, no, because then there's the negative seeds too.
Multiplies it by 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, that order of magnitude, that's too many seeds to search for. So even if that sort of thing exists, you'd probably never find it.
Yeah.
But most and like everything, if you avoid, giant head and stuff, then you can defeat every other encounter in just a couple turns. The only thing that grand finale is slow at is bosses. I don't know if there's a way to build a deck that can also kill bosses in one turn. I haven't quite figured that out. Well, because that's the nice thing about the like flex whirlwind stuff. It's kind of kills everything in one turn.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what you're fighting. If it has less than X amount of health, it dies. Right. That's why, and it doesn't matter how many of them there are. Whereas with grand finale, you're still gated by it hits one target, right? Does it hit one target, or does it hit everyone?
It hits everyone, yeah.
Oh, okay, my bad. I don't know the Silent. What am I talking about? Why am I talking?
Yeah, with 5 grand finales, you can kill everything in one turn. But how are you going to get 5 grand finales? Yeah. Maybe you can.
Yeah, but okay? Assuming that that's even possible, which is pretty unlikely, and you had someone like yourself or like Lulu or like someone else who's a great Silent runner playing it. What do you have a ballpark figure for what you'd expect for like a perfect non-seeded run?
I think it's.
Go for it.
Oh, perfect non-seeded run.
Yeah.
I think eventually a grand finale run might happen. I've been like waiting for it to happen, and it still hasn't. But I've only done like 100 runs, so it could still be something. But that basically requires you get a grand finale in Act 1, and then Pandora's Box glitch, or like grand finale in Act 1 and Peace Pipe. Down to 7 cards, and then you always have grand finale. And these things can happen eventually. And I think when it finally happens, then maybe you can get that like sub 7 run.
So sub 7 is roughly what you think.
Jesus.
Maybe.
Yeah. No, I mean I think it could go lower, but I
think
don't
it's definitely
know
reasonable.
Yeah.
Sub 9's probably going to happen pretty soon.
Yes, water seas. I mean, if they're both perfect runs, they're both perfect runs. They're the same thing.
Well, okay, but yeah, if
it's the same. It's the same run.
If you're looking at perfect as a literal meaning, then yeah. But I would say that with a non-seeded run, you still have decision times, like decision-making time. You know, yeah, you'll make it almost instantaneously. It's perfect. So yeah, theoretically, yes, of course, it's the same.
No, I mean like not even theoretically though, because you're talking about you can have the perfect RNG, but that's just half of the component. Like we can't run at max capacity if we don't know what event's coming up next. So there's a very big difference in between the perfect seeded and perfect non-seeded.
Yeah, I mean
performance-wise, mechanically, but the run itself is the same run.
Yeah,
what Water and I saying. It's the exact same run. It's just how you play it is the factor.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah, but how you play it results in the time, which is the whole thing.
And to be fair, I would also, although like you said, the seed, for example, would be the same seed, but at the same time, there might be a seeded run where you find a run that isn't the most optimal to play normally, but turns out to be the fastest run. For example, you know, not trying to humble brag or whatever, but I had a world record run that lasted for what until today, so over 2 weeks. That run is clearly, despite the fact that Lulu had a worse 5 seconds off, had a much better run for seeded percent. So if you were going into it blind, it's hard to say that you'd be able to find the best run, or you wouldn't run the perfect seeded run as fast as you would run it, you know, as another run potentially. But that's purely because of the way that, you know, events work. For example, taking that event that gets you the Juzu in the seed was never done in the original for the current best seed run. And that meant that you didn't get a 1 HP boss, and that meant that you didn't get whatever. So if you went into a non-seeded run with perfect knowledge of how it's going to work, then I guess it is seeded, but you get what I mean. There's a distinction between how it's played. But overall, yeah, the actual run would invariably be the same if you had the perfect player. But I still think there's room for debate over it. But either way.
I think clearly Ironclad is faster in the vast majority of seats. They just have better tools for speedrunning.
There are 10 raised to the 19 seeds, so yeah, you can't just reset until you get that one seed.
Yeah, you'll be reset.
Times 2.
Yeah, times 2. Well, does the minus count as a character? Does that reduce it to 18 for the minus seeds? Or I don't know how it works. Do you guys...
No, there's 19 digits.
So, yeah, there's...
On those seeds, okay. Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is literally doubled.
So like 9 points something times 10 to the 19, and then minus 9 point something times 10 to the 19.
Isn't that more than like the entire stars in the entire world, in the entire universe, right? Something like that.
Stars in the world?
Oh, universe. Fuck you. I just made myself sound really, really clever right there.
I don't have comparison figures for large numbers memorized.
Yeah, it's midnight here, alright, guys. Cut us some slack.
We probably want to transition unless you have some other really pressing questions, Anti-Flame, from YouTube.
No. I mean, the only other one that I could come across was, which we've already pretty much answered, is do you consider doing a race against other speedrunners on stream? Which, yes, we totally would. It's something that super interests us. It's a whole different dynamic that changes it from being like a one-person, you know, bashing your head against a wall until the wall breaks, to being a thing where, I mean, as many of us as we want, really.
Bashing our heads against the wall.
Exactly, but bashing our heads against the same wall, and whoever breaks it faster wins, and that's super cool. But it also means that we can randomly pick a seed. It doesn't have to be a whirlwind seed. It'll be a seed where we have to, you know, take the risk and maybe go for a perfected strike run. And even at the very beginning, we're going to pick different routes inevitably. You know, or we'll take different forks on the path, and that can change everything. So although we'll be running the same seed, there'll still be variability in what we do, and it is a sort of an in the moment who reigns supreme kind of feeling, which not trying to look at this too much from a streamer's perspective, but it is super cool as a streamer to be able to do that, be able to play against each other in real time, and have fun with that, rather than just look to get the best time ever. You know, there is a limited amount of times I'm willing to play the game in that manner. Like we're all humans, right? We're not robots. I mean, again,
the stream would beg to differ, but
fuck you. But yeah, it's
You sounded pretty robotic.
they don't hear that. You guys
Look,
just
there you
melt
go.
See, they
You're a robot again.
they don't hear that on stream. You guys do. All that happens is you guys cut out, unfortunately. But
Right on cue.
but yeah. So yeah, Jim, questions. Start.
Yes.
Feel free to reel them off.
Fresher. You see, I made a note of the names.
It's professional.
He asked a question earlier about what's your opinion on a tool that can find good seeds for you, one that would simulate all encounters, rewards, etc. And I made note of this question because, funnily enough, Arbiter, I'll send this over to you, is in the process of creating something to do that.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, you can sign
What's the status on that, Arbiter?
Yeah.
It's currently not compiling.
Perfect.
So can you give like a rundown of what it does, I guess, and how not necessarily how it does it?
Yeah, you don't need to go
because that will blow my mind. But
yeah, but the basis of what you're trying to do with it.
Yeah.
Basically go in. I give it a seed. It generates the map of the Exordium. Right now, it doesn't do the other maps yet, but that should be pretty fast once I get this done. And then it figures out a fast route through the Exordium, and then it looks at that route, and it uses the same logic as the game to generate the events that happen at every question mark, more or less. And from every combat encounter. So then by the end, I know what relics I have, what relics I could have bought in the shop, what cards I got from the elites and monsters, and what cards I got from the boss, what relics I'm going to get from the boss. And then from there, I can try and figure out whether it's a fast seed. And of course, I can look. The easiest thing is to look at Niao. Niao doesn't depend on anything. You can just. It's the first thing. You can look at the seed, and you get 20% chance to have Niao's Lament, and then you can look at the first boss relic and see what boss relic you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about all the roboting. I can just tell whenever I see you guys smile. It's just like, yep.
Well, I'm
melting.
We see you freeze, but I know everyone else sees us freeze.
I see you guys freeze. They see you freeze. I feel bad about it. I'm sorry, guys.
But yeah, I love the potential that that has Arbiter. If you can get it to do it automatically, quickly, just like
again, that'll be the way to
I don't know.
to tap into to basically break seed percent in a way, or seeded percent in a good way. You know, it's kind of that's another aspect of it that is a way to, solving that problem, that question is one of the biggest ways to change seeded percent, and that's pretty awesome that you're working on it.
Yeah. There's always more you can do because it's hard to get it perfect because some events are conditional on some things, like we've already talked about, and whether or not you get certain relics is conditional on some things, like so in Act 2, for example, you can't get the Joust event if you don't have 50 gold. So how am I going to simulate you having 50 gold to tell whether or not to have to generate the Joust event?
Yeah.
So
never really thought of that.
Always these sorts of issues.
Yeah, you've got that kind of mind to just like break that down and deconstruct it. So kudos, man.
It's witchcraft to me.
Yeah, no, that's something I couldn't even possibly handle. Got any other questions? And if not, I mean,
there's one more.
Sure, go for it.
And it's from Water Seeds. It's regarding the possibility of this game being at future GDQs.
Yeah, Skin.
Skin.
Yeah. I've looked into it. Yes, I mean, I don't want to say yes. There's a possibility because I obviously don't make that decision. Yes, I want there to be a possibility. yes, I want to get the GDQ administrators and we are, out of the PC games in the world, we are number 3 most active. Out of all the games in the world, we are number 6 most active. We have presence right now to be able to do something like this.
Yeah.
So there's no time really better than now. It's just a matter of getting them to get on board. With the seed percent stuff, like Water Sea said, with the new that we can get someone there, because we can provide them with something that's consistent and that is live approved. Because if you have RNG runs at GDQ, they usually shrug at those. Like Spelunky and things like that are allowed, but Spelunky, when you get to the really intense running and the top tier runners, it's really not much RNG involved in Spelunky because they have everything memorized.
Yeah.
So
is it sorry, is it an issue that it's in early access? Do you think?
No, it's not an issue with early access at all. And the fact that we can't really, up until now, we couldn't really guarantee a time block. Now with the new seed percent stuff and the seeded runs, we can guarantee that this run is going to be no more than 4 minutes, and we could probably do 2 runs. We could do like a silent seed percent and an ironclad seed percent.
God damn it! Sorry, my net's getting mental. Sorry.
And it would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm lagging out. It's fine.
Yeah,
but you guys get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Everyone but me.
Yes, there definitely is a chance. It's just a matter of networking it right now. And if anything comes out of that, if I hear anything or if I make any progress on it, obviously you guys will be the first to know, because that'll be exciting news. That said, we're gonna have to decide who ends up going.
No, I'm kidding. No,
Is it that way?
good enough.
No.
You can suggest. They decide typically, but you can.
Oh, I just thought like people applied and then like were.
Yeah, people apply and they approve it, but we could suggest as a community who we want to see go and represent our game.
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah, that's awesome as well.
People who can afford it to fly over.
Yeah, right.
Depends
I tried to get tickets just to go to SGDQ like a while ago, and they were sold out like it's super early on. Skin, are you going?
I would probably go if the game went in. Yeah, I wouldn't be a runner, obviously.
No, I mean, are you going to go to this year's SGDQ?
Not unless our game comes in. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the
list is already released.
It's already released. The game's some SGDQ this year.
Is application closed though?
Yes.
Oh, it's completely.
It's
closed?
like fully. You can't even go as like a person anymore.
Yeah, but again, it's one of those things that we can, it's like you said,
that might work out in our favor though, because I personally don't anticipate this game going, and I've said this to a couple of people before, but I don't anticipate this game going full version by the end of this year. I think Anthony and Casey are very very comfortable right now in this early access position. They're getting a lot of feedback, they're getting a lot of activity. I think they're happy with leaving it as early access right now. They don't have any real reason to launch it full yet. From a business standpoint. So I don't see it going full release by the end of this year. Next year now, if they decide to drop it full release in January or February, that opens up the possibility now that we are a full release game and we could be at GDQ easier if they do have any hesitation about early access games.
Yeah.
So it may work in our favor.
Yeah. No, I can see that. I mean, I don't know if they confirmed this, because I remember seeing the what's it called? Their milestones, their aims for the game before it releases, and one of them was the third character releases with the full game, right? It's not going to be out in early access. You hover over the button, it says this character is not coming in early access, and they're already working on it now, which makes me think that, again, maybe I'm optimistic, or I'm not looking at the full picture, but I could see the game being out by the end of the year, being full release. The question begs then, what does full release mean for the game? Does it mean no more patches? I don't think so. I don't think that that's ever going to be the case. No. I think full release just comes when Anthony and Casey are confident enough in their own game and be happy about it to say, look, we put our final seal on this and say this is free enough of bugs and free enough of issues and free enough of and has enough content as well. Because I think, again, tailing back a little bit, we were talking about events and how unique special events could be added or whatever. I feel like the pool of events is good now, but it will improve over time. It will get better. Because at the moment, you know, you go to the 3rd floor and you have a Juzu, you're guaranteed to see winding halls. You're guaranteed to see basically every event and then 1 or 2 random ones. So that will change over time. And I think I don't know when they'll feel comfortable, but maybe you're right. Maybe they, I don't know the timescale of things. So we'll see how it pans out. But either way, hopeful for the future, because they're active the whole time, and that's the amazing thing, you know. Weekly
like
patches.
Iron Blank, like it's just said in chat. I didn't forgot it was in alpha. Like,
is it supposed to be alpha? I actually thought.
I don't think it's.
I don't think early access is considered alpha.
Yeah, it's
just early access. It's its own category nowadays.
Yeah, sort of blends the lines between it. But I would say alpha is probably
because you have beta access, early accesses, and then you have full release, and then you have beta access, full release. You have all kinds of weird versions that developers like to throw around. To me personally, I mean, we're not going to get into a lot of it, but personally to me, early access I think is kind of a bogus title. But it works for companies.
That'll have to be a whole different stream.
Yeah, that's a different topic.
That's a video to talk about what early access really constitutes these days, and what can go wrong with it. Because I think right now Slay the Spire has it, and Mega Crit have it perfectly, or near enough perfectly.
They actually have a 10 out of 10,000 reviews.
Very highly rated.
Yeah, rightly so. They deserve it. You look at for example.
I don't think I've seen a negative from streamers and people on Reddit really.
Yeah, and rightly so. I think
nothing ever serious.
Yeah, and I think if you go and look at sorry, I'm lagging out as always. If you go ahead and look at say the epitome, probably the worst offender, DayZ, one of the early access games that released in early access in, I think it was 2014, 2015, and is still in early access, and it should be illegal to pull that kind of thing. Meanwhile, you have the way early access is done right. I don't know if this was greenlit on Steam Greenlight. I don't know how they funded it and how they released the game, but yeah, I don't remember seeing it anywhere. But I don't follow that too closely. So those avenues, or the way that they've done this and said early access for a good reason and release regular content, that's perfect. And I think if you guys haven't, this is to you guys out there, the few of you who don't already own this game, go and buy it. Support the devs; they're fantastic people as well as good developers that deserve the.
It was on recognition. Went to Greenlight on the 2nd of May last year.
And
so it was a Greenlight game.
Yeah. So this is 11 months down the line, and they have obviously they came up with a concept and they had the core there. But this is, if I bought this and I knew that there were no more updates coming, I would still be satisfied spending the money I spent. So, we're not sponsored by them at all, but we've got a lot of respect for them. So do support them as when you can, and keep an eye on them, because they are super cool people who are, just go love Mega Crit, because the more you give them support and kind reviews and nice words, the sooner they'll sort of get recognized more than they already have for being good devs, and that means that who knows what they'll work on in the future. Any more questions in chat, please chuck them in. But I think we're coming towards the sort of end. Again, this has run for longer than I expected, and it's been pretty good, interesting discussion about the game, honestly, and speedrunning in general. I guess you kind of round out with anyone got any other games they're playing right now? Because at the core, we're all gamers, we're all nerds, we're all cool, uncool people.
Path of Exile. That's it.
Heroes of Hammerwatch is really good.
Oh, I want to play that.
It just came out. I'm working on getting a max level, and then if you guys ever want to join, I can power level you. It's like 8-bit Diablo. The progression is insanely good.
It looks so good.
Highly recommend it. It's like the same price as Slay the Spire. The replayability's off the charts. Like, it's unreal. It's Heroes of Hammerwatch. I'm not streaming it right now because I'm trying to focus on Slay the Spire, and but I would highly recommend.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does look fun.
What kind of game is it? It's like a MOBA style.
It's
People
no,
are describing it as a multiplayer Binding of Isaac, which is a pretty fair description, but its progression is much better.
It's like a class-based pixel roguelite.
Okay.
It's literally just like Diablo 3 in 8-bit. Like, it's that in-depth. It's very good. Except for talking about like the multiplayer version, not like the actual story mode, of course.
Yeah, but I'm gonna have to check this out because I'm a big Diablo 3 player.
Oh,
I used to be. Anyway,
you're never gonna play anything else.
I'll have to check it out.
Diablo 3 doesn't exist.
Really? Is that?
That's why I played Path of Exile.
Yeah.
So
Diablo 3 never came out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Diablo 3 eventually arrive in BlizzCon 2020. But no, I mean, personally for me, throwing back a little bit, I'm going to throw back to Dream Quest by Peter Whalen. It's on Steam. You can find it. It's about £7. It looks budget as balls, and it is budget as balls. All the cards are literally stick figures drawn, but it is a card-based dungeon crawler. It's not. I wouldn't recommend speedrunning it, although it probably is totally possible. It has similar mechanics to this game, and the guy who made it, he then became a Hearthstone lead dev. So you can tell that they recognized that it's a good game. It's been out for several years. I don't know how much it is exactly. I think it's about £8, £8.
I just looked it up on Google Images.
£8, money, GBP. But it is fantastic. Honestly, I would because it's one of those games that there's communities of people that know it and love it, and there are people, and then there's a whole load of people who haven't heard of it and would love it, and that's exactly the kind of people who would play Slay the Spire. It does feel a little bit repetitive, but there are something like, I think it's 13 classes to unlock, and you start with 4. And I've played it for about 20-30 hours, and I've barely scratched the surface. And I've only unlocked 8 classes, I think it is. So there's so much replayability. It is quite repetitive in some regards, but for the limited amount of, the price you pay is pretty reasonable, and the experience is super fun. So I'd super recommend Dream Quest. Anyone else? Dream
Quest. I'm pretty basic. I play Rocket League, man. I don't play a lot of crazy games anymore.
What rank are you, Skin?
I am Diamond in 2s. I play 2s mostly, so Diamond 1 and 2s. Yeah,
I caught a VOD of your stream, and it was better than I have ever been, and I played the one beforehand. But here's how much I'm gonna have to check out. Thanks for the recommendation, Juice. Because
play with friends.
I've seen you playing it, and I've considered being like, what is that? Like I've been.
Don't play it single player.
No.
It's significantly worse.
Okay.
Like the progression, if you play it single player, is much too slow, and it's borderline not. But as multiplayer, like 2-person is fine. 3 to 4 people, it's like very good. I was blown away with it.
Yeah, no, fair enough. I think I'm gonna have to check it out. So here's how much you guys check it. If you're into your Diablos, if you're into your fun games, it's gonna be amazing. And anything else, Arbiter? You've got any recommendations at all? You've been busy. You've been busy.
I haven't played anything else in like a while.
3 months.
just trapped there, like I will break seed percent. No, honestly, yeah, you're a chill dude. So fair enough, dude.
Yeah.
And I actually haven't pointed out at all, but obviously down below, just below me to Jim's left and Skin Singe's right, there is the link to the Speedrunning Discord. There is also a normal Slay the Spire Discord, which you also recommend you check out. But because we want to sort of drive a little bit of hype towards that, if you guys are interested in speedrunning, either doing it yourself, seeing people talk about it, go check out that Discord. We only set it up about Skin set it up about a week ago, not even, and it's small but it's growing. So if that's something you're interested in and you didn't know about it, go check it out. And well, I mean, that's pretty much it. I guess I'm going to say thanks. Again, this is a format I'm not used to, doing some sort of hosting gig. But I'm going to say thanks to Dr. Jufi, Forgotten Arbiter, Jimquisitive, and Skin Singe. I'm Anti-Flame. If you didn't realize, it says down there. You're on my channel. Probably new. But these guys are all awesome. Go check out their channels. You can see them in there. Jufi, if you want to link the thing again, go ahead and link the thing. And guys, do seriously check them out. They're awesome people, as you've probably learnt over the last couple of hours. And thank you for stopping by. Honestly, do you guys have any shout outs, any places you want to promote yourselves? You know, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, I don't know, anything.
Thanks for hosting all of this and doing all of the artwork and all of the setup and pretty much everything.
I literally couldn't have done it without you guys. Literally.
Yeah, shout out to Jim for doing all of the... congrats, man. You did a good job.
Shout out to Jim for staying off of the top 3 for everyone.
Yeah, it's so kind of him to just not play.
Yeah, I got B again
for 2,000 runs. But no, yeah, like I said, this has been our premiere roundtable discussion live. You know, testing the waters. So if you've got any feedback for us as well, please do let us know personally on Discord, on the VOD of this when it's up somewhere. And I think, I'm not sure what my plans are. I'm probably going to take the stream down for a little bit. I might jump back on and do some speedrunning. If you're up for doing some races, we can try and figure that one out. I'm
going to set up some races.
Get some races
now, or like you guys want to.
I mean,
not like right now.
Well, I'm happy to take, like I say, a 10 or 15 minute break. Jump across to Slay the Spire on thingy. You guys can boot up your streams as well, and we will be back in. I need to figure out my OBS. Oh god, we will be back doing something in 10 or 15
within
minutes.
The hour.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you guys want to say in the chat what you guys thought of the stream, is there something you'd like to see in the future? If we brought guests on. Including like the devs and stuff eventually, and all this kind of stuff. If you guys want to see it, let us know.
Yeah, other speedrunners as well. You know, because again, these guys, I can only spend so much time with them before I get really
You're telling me, man.
So no, I'm kidding. These guys are great. But yeah, we want to do more of these ideally if the interest is there. And yeah, Jim's basically said it all. We've potentially, we're speaking to the devs. We've potentially can get them on to get a bit of their insight in the future. So again, if that's something you would be interested in seeing, do let us know. But in the meantime, we're all gonna transition, wind down for a little bit after spending about 2 hours and 20 minutes facing you guys and talking our proverbial asses off. But thank you again. Thank you, you guys. Thank you guys surrounding me. It's really appreciate all of your times for actually coming along here and trying this out. So until in about 15 minutes or so, we'll see what we're doing. Hopefully doing some speedrunning races. All right.
Yep.
See you later, guys.
See you later on.
Bye.
Cheers.